In the future 3, Africans will have a podcast that exposes all my efforts to convince the blacks that black capitalism will help them.
If you dare to struggle, you dare to win. If you dare not to struggle, then goddamn you don't deserve to win. Let me just think to you if you're willing to fight for it.
I said these politicians clowns, so let me reiterate it. Just being libs when they're liberated.
Agenda has been given a lot of attention and a lot of resources where we've literally turned some reactionaries into celebrities and given them hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars to go around the world to oppose our effeminization.
The stat show we only care about our figures. $1
trillion of critical minerals in Ukraine. They could be the richest country in all of Europe. I don't want to give that money. And those assets to Putin to share with China. If we help Ukraine now,
they milking our chocolate, we think we rich. They give us some chips so we can brag. Ay, why they own the potatoes and keep the bag? Ay, now you stacking your Pringles and I ain't mad. Ay, gotta sell that black soul for Whitey's cachet.
We're not a racist organization because we understand that racism is just a byproduct of capitalism. Everything will be all right if everything was put back in the hands of the people. And we're going to have to put it back in the hands.
My paper chasing past to have me feeling like a hypocrite. The dollars can't compromise the change I'm trying to implement. I use the mic to keep Decepticons at bay with the same qualms as Noam Chomsky and Kwame Ture, hood socialists with a new era beret. It's like they neuralize you. We just redo errors. It's crazy. They got new Elijahs Xing out black messiahs today, trying to neutralize us. Just COINTELPRO away. Hey, loyalty, it's rarely immune to pay. These coons come buffoon for the Klansmen that they obey. They discard us, disregard us, we take them back anyway. We easy prey, it's evident by the precedents that we lay. Well adjusted to injustice, our people in disarray. Feel the terror from mega ever scared to go disobey. We recite the words, they sharing the play. They Othello,
the millionaires are paupers.
To get their way.
Right. Worldwide net private wealth stood at $450 trillion in 2022. That I just, and to Diallo's point, remember what this number means. This is money. This is wealth produced for private ownership by all of us, extracted from all of us, in all that we do in the economy.
If they're not educated, they want more, and before you know it, they'll be capitalists, and before you know it, we have Negro imperialism.
What's up, world? Welcome to episode 85 of Earn Your Liberation right here on Black Liberation Media. Diallo Kenyatta, Geechee Goes, Jared Ball. What's up, fellas?
What's
How
happening?
you feeling?
I'm good. How you feeling?
I'm stealing from Renee. I used to say I'm as good as could be expected, but since I see her in the chat, I'm just going to steal out the gate and say I'm as good as capitalism will allow.
I see.
Y'all
get into any of this little online Tyrese, and who else is having a lot of Cam Newton. Yeah, I've just seen him in passing, but I haven't like watched any of it and to know what's going on. Y'all been
what happened to Cam?
Cam supposedly got told off by a relationship expert or something about his going around dropping seeds everywhere or something like that. And yeah, I don't know. Diallo, did you see that one?
I didn't see, man. I don't watch that shit, but I
would hope you give a better meme thing with that, even though it's a video. But supposedly she was telling him off. I saw like a small clip, but I just didn't.
Yeah, well, Cam has several children by several women without committing to any type of relationship, long-term relationship with the women, and he asserted that, well, the basic gist is that there are many high-value, prominent alpha black men who often give weight to the conspiracy of the destruction of the black family, and we need this, but then in their personal lives and their own behavior, they see having children as less of a commitment than getting married, or seeing that having children without being committed to the mother is a viable and appropriate choice, mainly to preserve one's wealth and personal freedom. So it's kind of and then it revived Nick Cannon. I saw a lot of people bringing up Nick Cannon, Nick the Seaman Cannon discussion, and it's basically black people getting caught up in
phrasing.
All right, it's black people being caught up in bourgeois nonsense, as if, you know, because when you bring in the class element, and apparently Cam's newest baby mama is also being hypocritical, talking about a lifestyle influencer, and then just being played and allowing herself be reduced to a incubator for some rich ball chaser.
She's pretty online famous as a comedian, I think. I can't remember her name, but yeah.
And Elon is saying she's glad all that she and Cam share is an alma mater.
Auburn? Well, college alma mater. But and what about the other one? What's been going on with damn, I forgot it that fast. What's the one I just said at the top?
Yo, Comrade Trav, shout out to you and the intro.
What did I just say?
I don't know what you just said. While he's figuring it out, please everybody like, share, subscribe, invite people to join you in the chat. Shout out to the remixers who are here live. Peace to those who will see this later, and invite somebody then. Support our Patreon. The link is in the show description, and so we can continue to grow despite the permanent wilderness we've been cast off into here on YouTube. So appreciate everybody who can do that. Whoever had a YouTube membership before, go ahead and move it over to Patreon. If you didn't, go ahead and start over at Patreon. The project continues. It continues.
Well, but there's this conflict here, because you have the black traditionalist. There's this fetishizing of the black family, where they were like, well, we had strong black families in the past. Welfare and the black woman who wanted education and career have destroyed the black family, and the black family is a threat to the system, and the black family is the building of the nation, the foundation of multi-generational wealth. So you have these black family fetishists, that's what I call them, who extol the virtues of the nuclear black family. And we have demagogues who've made whole careers about reestablishing and reasserting the dominance of the nuclear black family, and the myth that the nuclear black family is what made us strong, and losing the black family is why we're in the condition we are in now. So they like to, and they love those stats from Jim Crow stats about how we had higher two-parent household rates than white folks under Jim Crow and all that. And then you have the alpha sigma high value male who have basically gotten into this red pill thing that women are a hindrance, women are inherently hostile and an encumbrance to a man's full expression, manifestation, growth, and that bring to the table shit, who want to hold to that whole the black woman destroyed the black family by accepting welfare and kicking the black man out of the house. And I'm a high value man that's highly desired. But then on the flip side, they're like, well, women or relationships are also an encumbrance and a potential threat to my securing of wealth, or they're a threat to my pursuit of wealth because of the demands of a woman, an emotional, irrational female who's going to either trying to get pregnant by me to get child support, or trying to get pregnant by me and divorce me and get child support. So that there's this conflict of the Sigma passport, go your own way, and they still want to be able to blame the black woman for destroying the black family, but also blame the black women for their lack of motivation or incentive to form family. But they also say that the black family is a threat to the systems and institutions of white domination, and the black family is our only path forward. And so the black family is the biggest encumbrance and the biggest asset and the biggest liability. So there's a lot of confusion and contradiction in this whole rhetoric of the black family and these high value men impregnating a multitude of women who are many racially ambiguous and don't give interviews as what's that Cat Williams said. So
hold up now. First of all, shout out to the racially ambiguous. We don't need to start blaming them. All they doing is out here living, trying to capture their blackness and their black man.
Eye on the hog.
Don't so we do live well. My life is perfect. It is an endless amount of perfection. But if I can, it is so wild that you made that point, because I am going to shamelessly plug for Monday morning's Labor Day special live, where we're going to watch some cartoons that help pave the way for what people think is black capitalist liberation, the very white corporate cartoons.
Dang other workers.
It is hilarious. But I'm checking this stuff, right? And I look up, just as a refresher, the Selling the Negro video. I do a search for Selling the Negro, John Johnson's. And there's apparently, of course, there's a YouTube cottage industry that has evolved around everybody, talking us through that video. And one sister who has like 300 and some thousand followers and got tens of thousands of views on her video. And I admit, I only watched a portion of this, so I have to go back if I really want to see if this is right. But I'm watching a portion, and she's doing exactly, Diallo, what you're talking about. So at the beginning of Selling the Negro, John H. Johnson is making the point to white advertisers and ad buyers, you can trust us because we're just good middle-class Negroes. Look at this beautiful black family, this nuclear family coming home from work, and the homemaking wife and the two children, and they pay their bills. And the sister stops the video to do exactly, Diallo, what you're talking about, to go into this whole thing about how we never see the black family extolled. And she starts praising Johnson's video for depicting this perfect black family with the father intact and all of this. And I'm sitting there saying, wait, are you about to miss the entire point of the video? Are you about to praise this video that's literally saying selling the Negro? And extol this fantasy of a black family and what it's supposed to do. So it's wild. It was crazy.
So what about the
black family? I call them the black family fetishes, because they oversell and misrepresent what the black family is and what the black family has the potential to do under capitalism and white hegemony. So the black family fetishes is an industry we don't even acknowledge, because so many of us just take for granted that, hey, being pro-family is a good thing. Even though we look at the white majority and we see that how they've weaponized and how the fascist and the right wing has weaponized the very concept of protecting families, protecting women, protecting children have been a lot of the cover and the engine that has driven some of the greatest atrocities under this system and under Western hegemony and Christian theocracy.
So what about the Tyrese joint? So I think it started out with him crying on Breakfast Club and being consoled, but now he has a Shannon Sharp interview, and I didn't see it too, but
Tyrese went on Club Shay Shay.
Yeah, and he said Asian, whites, and Jews. And by Jews, I think he also is talking about the Ashkenazim. I don't think he's talking about Beta Israel, Ethiopians. So I'm pretty sure
nobody talks about them.
He said that they are a unified people that stick together. And black people, we are impoverished because we don't stick together. And he's also has been victimized by the predatory, racially ambiguous, submissive wife as a high value man. So he is a cautionary tale.
Wait, you got to say that sentence again, because he was somehow terrorized,
victimized. He was a victimized. Yes.
By the racially ambiguous
suffering out here, man. You and your happy, stable marriage and your picket fence and your 2.5 children. and so you don't know how how brothers like Geechee out here are suffering, having to go overseas to find a submissive woman and all. You don't understand. You don't relate to the struggles of the brothers still on the battlefield of single manhood.
Obviously, you don't either, Diallo. So stop it.
But I sympathize from a distance. I don't want to get
joke. You joke the whole time. You rub it in.
But I sympathize from a great distance.
I don't want your sympathy, brother.
You see, I understand what y'all going through.
No, you don't.
Jared's the one's like, what? What's going on?
No,
over there?
Yeah, really, because
Jared out the game.
My life is perfect.
So I'm not. What did Clinton say? I feel your pain.
So I guess since we already into the messiness, maybe we should just start with a run sheet messy. And Umar and DL, supposedly there's been some conflict. I guess they're fighting around Kamala. And DL
but
said,
I think I'm sorry, my bad. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying DL said like he will debate Umar if they debate. I think at the cafeteria at Frederick Douglass Market.
No, see, that's where I think people are missing, and I think Umar is intentionally playing a smart game. But I feel like people, and unless DL came back and cleared this up, and I don't know if you have it, but DLHughley's comment was a joke. And he set a standard he knew Umar couldn't meet. He didn't just say at the school. He said at a school that has been accredited, that is where the debate is going to be, so I think, hosted and moderated by a series of having already graduated Black boy students. I mean, he was setting a standard, that his whole point. And then Umar took the one part about the auditorium and said, well, we have that. And so you agreed, so let's go. So it's a great, I'm seeing it as a great clickbait thing for Umar. DL's response I thought was a hilarious joke, but I feel like people are missing, or it's intentionally being missed, that he set a standard that Umar cannot currently reach. So I'm not sure, although
he said, why don't we televise it from the cafeteria of your school after the kids have all had lunch provided free of charge, wearing free uniforms provided through all the donations that you've taken over the years?
Exactly. Even right. So now, so where I'm stuck is, I agree with Umar that DLHughley should be criticized and challenged, and Ricky and all of them should be debated on why there's this insistent drum beat without any, as far as I'm aware, depth of analysis to support Kamala. I can't help but laugh and get a kick out of the way Umar does it. The back in the car video, the yelling and all of that. But the headline, and I promise you I would absolutely tune in, if they had the Kings of Comedy versus King Kong Consciousness, all spelled with K's, by the way, KKK, just as a reminder that Umar's doing that. King Kong Consciousness, I would absolutely tune in. I absolutely would. I can't even front. No, I hear you, but I would absolutely.
I have to shield my energy. I have to sustain my vibrations. I would not, because it would be a good party. It would be a good show, but the reverberating psychological damage and the re-entrenchment of menticide that would come as a result of that would just be too much for me to bear.
Whoever won ever stitched in history.
Yeah, I would just rely on my protective code of ambiguity and march on into that fire. But I would absolutely, you're right. Your assessment is perfectly correct. But I would definitely tune in. No, and
I would prefer to watch. I'd watch FD's recounting of it. That's my shit. I make other people tread through the trenches, and I just
I would bring the clips to
their war story. Yeah, I'd go watch. I mix what I would like review.
No, we would do it here. You would sit here live and watch the clip.
Man, y'all subject me to a lot of mess on here, man. Oh,
Speaking of mess,
I agree. Usually Geechee does that, but this one,
no. Y'all,
Yeah, it's true.
No.
I'm not one to pick on Geechee or blame Geechee for nothing.
Stop doing
this
that.
Time is right.
I'm gonna start signing off on the. We gonna start signing off on the run sheet addition.
You bring a lot of that.
Got an initial.
Yeah, we're gonna have to initial the run sheet.
I mean, I'd be like, man, I just
hope y'all just send
y'all
send me undercover. Y'all send me undercover in a grifter fest.
I'd be like, every week I wake up,
auditorium,
I fast and pray that Charlemagne don't do shit this week. Just lay low, Charlemagne.
Yeah, Arab, your crew got it. A lot of folks apparently got it FD this week about his Kamala video.
It was weird.
And the left.
First of all, the left has been cooked since the Palmer raids. So the title threw me off.
Wait, the recent
I couldn't even get, huh?
Well, about
the recent ones.
The short of it is FD was talking about really the white left and saying they're doing too much in their
bless their hearts.
Their
I'd
critique
rock out with
of
the white
Kamala
left before I roll with a black centrist.
So
white left. I don't think we give them enough acknowledgement. I mean, shout out to all these white folks going up and freeing chickens and freeing cows from their, shout out to the white left. I don't know, going out there burning SUVs, Earth Liberation Front, white anarchists.
Oh no, we don't support that.
White folks.
No, that's too much. They doing too much.
No, I do.
No, we
Antifa. Shout out to Antifa.
Nah, man. If you're left of Jacobin magazine, you've gone too far, man. I fully support
the white. Then if you left, first of all, we need to stop calling the centrist and the liberals left. First of all, not saying FD did it, but it gets done too much. Second of all, the white left, because if I was white, I'd secure the badge. I hate seeing white folks out here struggling, man, wasting that whiteness. Man, if I was born white, I'd be out here musking. I ain't even gonna lie.
You'd be musking.
I'd be out here fucking NFTs, tech broing. Man, please. If our people wasn't under genocide or oppression, it would be over.
By the way, I just reminded myself, so I'm just gonna hate in I want to say abstention, but I don't think I'm saying that. I don't think I'm getting at the concept right. The point is, I was watching Breakthrough News and their coverage of Central America, a little bit of South America, I think, but I think I was looking at some primarily on Mexico. Anyway, but they're talking to a dude from Jacobin magazine. They introduce him, give him this nice welcome, and he has a nice little discussion with them about what's going on in Mexico. It was fascinating. I don't know much about the details, but it was great. But then I'm thinking, Jacobin magazine, though, on Breakthrough News. So I went to Jacobin and just did a quick search, and I'm happy to be corrected on this, and I hope I'm wrong. That even that Jacobin, as much as I've had issues here and there with them over the years, that they have not one article referencing Claudia and Karina's campaign. So I was thinking, I was almost going to be petty enough to text Eugene and say, Eugene, yo, how does that work? But they're doing a professional news outlet over there, Breakthrough News. They're not like us rogues over here. But I was saying, come on, man. So I was just like, you're going to go on Breakthrough, do your little, your nice little left, or liberal, to Diallo's point, centrist liberal discussion of Mexico, and not have one single article that I could find. I put in Claudia in the search engine, and I got a couple nice references to Claudia Jones, which I'm probably thinking are inappropriate for that magazine. But I was just like, wow, that was really wild. Why would they? So anyway, I hope I'm wrong. I'm sure the chat will clarify this for me. If somebody email me later with the story they did. But and that's my point, though. I get it. My point, though, is that's my point. Buck score. Jacobin is DSA, Breakthrough News is PSL. I get that. But my point, and it was just that. But you're going to do the PSL platform to talk about your story, and they'll platform you because they're being principled in covering good stories and good news, and they're not going to hate on you just because it's Jacobin. But then Jacobin doesn't have even one story, not even any reference. I find that I have to have been. I know it was not a scientific heavy research effort, but I feel like so. All right, I said, there it is. So I hope I'm wrong.
I was looking. They Breakthrough mentioned her 10 months ago.
Jacobin mentioned her 10 months ago.
Oh no, well,
no, I'm talking about, does Jacobin magazine have any coverage of the Claudia Karina campaign? Because Jacobin magazine does get platformed on Breakthrough News. So that was my point. That was really my point. And I was just in the audience. I'm just in the audience hating. That's all. Because I don't, because I always see it when it comes to us. There's a wild imbalance. Mm-hmm. But I'm told that would be just too petty to go into too much. But there's a wild imbalance in principled exchange, platforming, reference, citation, inclusion, so on and so forth, among the so-called left. And so that I just noticed those. I just noticed that, and it was bothering me. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but So, my bad. I didn't mean to take that. I didn't mean to side rail us there.
No, you about to get us, in two fights and shit, but it's all right. It's all cool.
No, I mean, I'm
joking.
I already said that I know a lot of people do not agree with me on Afropessimism, but that Jacobin magazine article that I talked about a little while ago was the worst thing I've ever read.
So,
but I've always had an issue with them. They did the same thing when I first ran into them years ago at the Real News. They're always the refusal to even consider alternative electoral political efforts and the almost condescending approach to them, I find troubling. And then I will stop here, but I did post that I reposted someone's "I'm not with her" Kamala thing on Facebook, and the reverberation has been wild to me in terms of people's hostile responses, condescending responses, uninformed responses. It's wild. So
all of them made the ballot in Georgia though, right? Cornell, Jill Stein, and Claudia them.
Elon, I know there are actually. Elon, send me those legit critiques of Afropessimism, because I have been wildly disappointed in what people have said are legit critiques of Afropessimism. So send them to me. I bet I've read them, and I bet we disagree. But I'm happy to have that debate even too. I think the way people characterize Afropessimism and Frank's work is often wrong, and they miss so many of the points that. And what they're really just mad at is it's a race first analysis, and people are really resistant to a race first analysis, and they don't like Frank personally. I think there's a lot of that too. But I've read a good number of these critiques at this point, and I'm disappointed in all of them. Even the brilliant Greg Thomas, who I think is legit brilliant and way over my head. I didn't think his critique was good either. But which I thought was amazing, because I thought I was for sure going to find it compelling, because usually everything he writes I find compelling. But yeah, send it to me. I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to get into it. And people have stopped talking to me over that too. But that's what I'm saying. Like people have stopped talking to me over Afropessimism. It's crazy. But all right, anyway, my bad, Geechee. Go ahead, man.
No, man, you be going too hard on them people, bro.
All I'm saying is we disagree. It's not.
But I don't know if I mean, I don't remember. But
phrasing.
I don't know if people are disliking his or disliking it because of his race first. I don't know. I don't know who.
Well, usually what it comes down to is the argument is that the conclusion is that he discourages principled unity with other oppressed people and discourages active engagement in political struggle. And that's totally wrong. It's entirely wrong. And especially because, and I know that one of the big differences is I engaged Frank's work through Incognito. most people engage his work through Afropessimism first. So, which was another set of controversy, because a lot of people claim Historian Incognito was false. Do they have information and proof? No. Do they provide any of it? No. Do they condemn what he did with the story? No. But they have this whisper campaign and no evidence. But my point is, if you read Incognito, you're clearly reading something from someone who is actively engaged in and advocating militant political material struggle. So the idea that he would ever encourage the opposite, and then when we spoke about it right here, people ignore that too. They will clip an interview we did 15 years ago, and it gets recycled all the time. And the reason I know it is because I get the Google alerts. It gets referenced all the time. There's one section of one interview taken out of context. And even when I discuss it here with Nora Ericott, specifically his issue around Palestinians, it still gets ignored. So I'm like, I don't get it. I don't get it beyond what, so.
I wonder what Wilkinson work Steph Lord is talking about that we misread.
And
Cast?
We misread Wilkinson's work and we misread Cedric Robinson's work. Now, I don't know what Sith Lord Prince is getting at here, but it's interesting because I would have liked to follow up with this, and I don't know if, and I don't think she does it, but somebody would have to check me on this. But Dr. CBS has a really, really good critique of Cedric Robinson.
No, I'm sorry, Frank Wilkes.
Not Frank. She disagreed with Frank, and at one point, a couple of years ago, I was willing to debate her on that about that here, and even take the L, because I don't think, even if I was right, I don't think I would be able to win a debate against her. But I was going to do it, and I am right. But her argument, CBS's argument at the time, that if I remember correctly about Cedric Robinson, was that he misread how Black people engaged Marxism.
He fixed that. That's my bad.
Who meant Wilderson?
He said Wilkinson, and I was like, what did we misread about Wilkinson? But I thought he was saying
no. He meant I read it as Wilderson. My bad. I didn't.
Oh, okay.
But so my point is, I don't know what Sith meant about that, but I think CBS had a good argument that I would like to see people engage. But this is really what's going on. It's the old materialist versus cultural nationalist debate, and in a new version. And there's too much, and this is something I've always felt I've had a problem with. There's too much complete disengagement with the so-called other side in each camp. So there has absolutely, and CBS has written about this perfectly accurately, I think, by the way, there has been an absolute move within certain wings of Black studies to remove materialism and Marxism from the discussion and make it all African-centered and nationalist. The flip side is also true, that materialists will gather all the time and disparage and completely ignore all of what they disparage as narrow or cultural nationalist work. And I don't think there's enough honest engagement with either side. So when I brought up CBS's critique a few years ago on Twitter of Cedric Robinson, I got attacked by people who had said, but didn't you do positive interviews about Cedric Robinson? And I was like, yeah, but what is the point? So what? I'm like, why? Of course I did. And just because she wrote a good critique doesn't mean I'm saying get rid of him any more than if she's wrong, I would say get rid of her. But it's too much of this. It's way too much of this. And it's super irritating, I think. I've been on a soapbox all morning. My bad. Go ahead. Yeah. Oh, I know, because you're the master debater.
Hey, me and Diallo gonna put a word in for you, Jared, and you and Ajamu can undercard the DL and Umar debate.
I would absolutely debate him on that, and or talk with him or do that. Absolutely, I have no problem, because I know a lot of people that I respect disagree with me on this, and I think they've either not read enough or misread or misinterpreted what they read or taken it out of context. Or you know what? Maybe I am wrong and Frank is wrong. I don't think either warrants either of us being thrown away. I don't think either warrants either of us being ignored. And let's see it. Let's go. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Wow. And you know what else I know I do know this. I can't prove it, but I know it. A lot of people, this is not Elon or anyone around here for sure, but I know there's a number of people that are just simply jealous that Frank's work got so much love among students. I know it. 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 I can't prove it though.
Well, you know who isn't wrong?
Sis said, let's fucking go. I'm with it.
The little EYL is not wrong. They got enough backing. I want to get into my report back and then we can go some other place. But since we in the entertainment joint, let's get
and
there.
Of course I do. We know I know Elon and Rick. This is all, we having fun.
Yeah, could you pull up that little
what am I oh, you look at that. I'm all amped up. You putting me back to the button pusher.
Yeah, man. You gotta get back to we gotta calm me down.
My bad, man.
Get a button in your hand, bro. Get a button in your hand, bro.
All right. Which one are we going to?
We're going to the first Invest Fest little video when I was in VIP, doing my Thug Thizzle.
The one that you already have loaded up here?
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you need me for?
Just click it. No, not that one. I'm sorry.
Oh, now you frozen.
The one on the run sheet.
All right, the run sheet is not in. All right, so you mean the one that says stop at 6:30?
Hold on, man. Let me.
There's so many links on here. Man.
My Invest Fest report back.
Your Invest Fest is different than the EYL stuff.
Yeah. Well, Jared put EY. Just go to my Invest Fest.
I don't see my Invest Fest report. I see Geechee report back from Instagram. Is that it?
I'd like to believe so.
Yeah, that one. My bad.
All right. Okay. All right. Let's.
I'm looking on my other time.
All right. You ready?
Yeah.
You was at the club.
Twisted turns, bumps and bruises. I live, I learn. I'm from the city full of yellow gadgets, skyscrapers.
No money anyway.
The principle.
Occupational options. Get some blow
principality.
You don't have a zoom on that thing?
I was too close, bro.
He was starstruck.
Yeah, they said it was not so. Whoa. Yeah, they said it was not so.
Yeah, this is so exciting. I felt like I was supposed to perform.
And he still got a band.
You are. Yeah.
So, Fifth, man, y'all can take y'all seats now. Y'all can take y'all seats.
So I don't remember how much that seat was, but it might have been around 10K. But
yes, that was 50 Cent. At the Earn Your Leisure Invest Fest.
Yes. So he was a headliner this year. Who they said Steve Harvey's mentee is 50 cents. So as I said last week, the Thursday or the Wednesday, I saw some people that was going to Invest Fest, and I ended up interviewing them on a pre-interview. But then when I went Friday, my idea was I'm just going to stand out and catch people going in and coming out. Well, when I went there, the doors was open and people were just walking around the space. And so I started interviewing people like that, just started talking to different people. And what I found out is like, it seems like the lobby and the DJ part, all that stuff, you could just walk in. But if you want to get into the vendor part, you would have to have those wristbands that you paid $300 or more for. If you want to get into the that 50 cent stage thing, you would also have to do that. But in the 50 cent stage thing, there's different seats, and at the front of the stage is VIP. So when I walked in on with Erica's from Brokish, her wristband on that Sunday, I think, I just walked straight to the front and nobody said nothing. I sat down, nobody said nothing, and then found out that all of the people who are, I guess, celebrities there's the guy who paid Biggie in that movie, Notorious Big, Ian Dunlap, and all these people started sitting next to me. So I'm like, oh, I guess this is the VIP section, the stage people. So anyway, I'm watching through that, and so a few things that I was seeing the whole time, and I'm gonna play a clip of the post interview. I intently asked people about BlackRock, which none of them knew about, right? And I thought that was kind of interesting. And then I started looking into like how white capital influence each segment of this InvestFest. So up to the ticket price, like if you can't pay for the ticket, you can finance the ticket through a white bank, which it seems like a few people did. And some of the things that I heard, despite this thing being InvestFest, is people saying like, yo, they just come here to network. They come here to network. So they're justifying how much money that they spent and all claim it as network. So what I'm gonna do real, what you say?
I said it ain't tricking if you got it.
Well, apparently they don't have it, because again, I think I wonder if there's a number on how many people are financing the ticket. So like you literally, click on the joint, and as I said, like you could finance a ticket if you don't have it. So going to debt for the ticket, I guess in the InvestFest world, they would call that good debt.
And you did, you actually confirmed the bank.
That's an asset. The debt you go into to get rich. That's an asset over a lot, and not going is a liability.
Yeah, my assets over your liabilities. That's the part they left off the shirt.
Yeah, but you about to say, did I confirm the white bank?
Did you confirm the white bank? Just out of curiosity, just so we're clear with our
black banks are any better. I don't know where to.
Let me get the because it was looked like the owner of the bank was fairly young.
They are better, and the money trickles back to the black community and enriches and then circulates, and then black people become, man. Whew. It's just exhausting, even joking my way through the logic.
Like that's like when people, you ever like try to talk to like a Christian or some other delusional individual, and you start talking about facts and evidence, and they be like, "That's white science." You ever get hit with that? Oh, you on that white man, that white? That's what black banking start to sound like to me now.
But this is what. So seriously, but that's it. And I know I'm almost singularly focused on it right now in part because of this book chapter I'm supposed to be finishing. But that really is the trick bag. That what people will say is the black science is at its core the white science they're criticizing, because all of the mythology around black economics and capitalism and banking and investment is the white science that they hate. It's the white trickery that they hate so much, but but yeah, no, it's that's that white man. That's that white man said math, and that's why Terrence Howard is going on Joe Rogan talking about 1 times 1 is 2.
Bro, it looked like they took the you can't get to the ticket price now.
Can I say something about 50 Cent?
Absolutely.
Oh man. And yeah, like Yipper says, white math. It's the white math.
Can I say something about
50 Cent? Yeah, go ahead.
Which is mad peculiar. 50 Cent historically defeats people only to become the people he once defeated.
Yeah, that was the whole point. Yeah.
When he first hit the game and he was beefing with Ja Rule and Murder Inc. And he had that one line. You sing for hoes and sound like the Cookie Monster. And then right after Ja Rule fell off, he started doing Candy Shop and singing for hoes. And that's their language. I'm just translating their language. But he literally became Ja Rule and leaned into the whole sex symbol and making club bangers and making the same type of music. He went from like, wanksta, gangsta music to, and then he went to war, was beefing with Dame Dash and Rockefeller at the height of Rockefeller fame. Remember, they were putting out all this media and movies, And then he became like a media movie producer mogul. He became Dame Dash. And now, right after the year to the date after Diddy shows up at EYL, it's like literally.
And he's been trolling Diddy for a minute.
Yes, it seems like 50 Cent, once he defeats his foes, he becomes and goes down the same track that his foes, even though he might criticize what they do and how they do it, he begins to engage in. It's the wildest shit. It's like ninth level sucker MCing. Like it's just peculiar.
No, he will kill you and eulogize you all. And
he kills you only to become you.
But he started that way. The whole how to rob an industry thing was him.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah,
verbally going at all the MCs that he would hope to become. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah, how he sitting in Diddy's old seat.
Wow.
The seat he sat in still got Diddy residue in it. How
Diddy residue.
Even EYL.
Phrasing.
Well, listen,
everybody's just letting it happen. Okay, I'll drop it.
I couldn't stay in there too long, but when I did hear him say a few things,
but he never beefed with Dre. Comrade talking about he did the headphones, but I don't think he's ever had beef with Dre. But he bit.
No, he's living off Dre.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, if you go to beef, if you beef with 50 after he defeats you, he's just gonna become you, which is weird.
So he's gonna do a fire festival next.
Well, I mean, just making the songs for the ladies. I mean, he literally started doing all these collabs with R&B singers, all that shit. Lick the lollipop, like what? But I don't know. I can't comprehend.
Yo, so while 50 was on stage, he talked about how and Steve Harvey and other of them say the same kind of thing. Like, it's hard to be broke, but it's also hard to be rich. And so 50 was like, the more money you get, the more you need to stay your ass home because you get sued for anything. And he started talking about people trying to sue him and blah, 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 blah. But he did at a point say he don't really want to be there. He just came in for the money. And this is a post interview of the sister who was from the Netherlands, who I interviewed before she went to InvestFest and then after. And then we'll talk about some of this.
There were some gems that were dropped that I was like, okay, that will help me to put in more action. So the inspiration I was looking for, I absolutely got. Yeah. Yeah,
turn up your own volume a little bit. I just had to turn up my own volume a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Mine is at max. I ain't got set up like y'all got. I ain't got it like y'all.
I told you, I'm living that ambiguous life. I'm chilling. I got all kinds of volume.
It's not a video. It's just an audio.
I can't hear nothing.
All right. We're going to play again.
Maybe I'll get my headphones. I'm sorry.
All right.
There were some gems that were dropped that I was like, okay, that will help me to put in more action. So the inspiration I was looking for, I absolutely got. Yeah, I really got to see the people who were passionate about their products, about their work. I actually left here yesterday. Haven't been writing for 6 months. And then I started writing because I was like, oh my God, all this energy. So that's for me, that was the big surprise I didn't see coming.
InvestFest is the name of the place. Rashard and Troy are writing a book or wrote a book, talk about you should be rich. They also talk about wealth and business and entrepreneurs. So how do you think InvestFest, where again, it sounds like majority of the people here, they want to be rich. They want to be millionaires. How do you feel like this experience will impact, I guess, your personal life or even business?
That's a good question. I think it got me, for example, I'm not really into trading or into investing yet, but I am interested in it. So 2 years ago, no, it's 2024. In 2020, I started with Bitcoin. I don't know anything about it. It was just a trend, and I hopped on it. So, as you know, most trends they message deleted from my phone. I didn't even
my bad, but wow.
And then there was this talk from I'm not sure what his name is, but it was about trading and investing. So I was like, let me see this app, and I got my information again, and I logged in. So I saw that the 50 euro I put into now is almost 300 euro. So for me, it's like, okay, I would like to have more information on how to do this and how to grow money so that I can have a passive income.
Earn your leisure and passive income. These are all concepts. And all these things sound good, but until you like kind of think more about earn your leisure and passive income.
I think I hear what you're saying, and I really think that you need to put in the work, and that you have to be realistic about a lot of things that we heard today, because not everybody is going to be a millionaire. So when Steve Harvey said choose your heart, he didn't say what's hard about being rich. So I think it's important to get more depth out of the things that they're saying, because it's motivational, and motivation is like dopamine. Dopamine, in the moment you're super hyped, and after that, when it dies down, you don't remember what step takes first.
Me coming here wasn't going to change my mind about the whole thing. Because,
I know.
Because I see it from a larger standpoint. I don't,
As you seeing here, I was like, okay, you are on this, you know which message you want to get out there. And now you can see, when you're not here, you can only talk about what you don't see, but now you are here, and now you know to back up what you're talking about. That's why I think you're here. There are people like Steve Harvey and all of those people that were on the podium, that they are like a pact.
Let me see.
A pact.
Like a cohesive group.
Yeah, right. So like you have to do a lot to become one of those people.
That's interesting.
To earn that kind of money, and it's like you have to.
But what does that pact represent? Because in the U.S., they call these people a buffer class. They call them the cannon fodder. They call them the gatekeepers.
The gatekeepers. That's a good word.
But here's the problem, though. When you say someone wants to change the world, these people's job are in a cynical way to make sure the world doesn't change for the better.
How do you mean?
Because so for instance, none of those people on the stage have the type of money that BlackRock. You know what BlackRock is?
No.
So here's what would be extremely scary, right? This whole event is funded by BlackRock.
BlackRock.
Yeah, BlackRock is a very, very oppressive group of white elite people.
Oh.
And they fund these things. And so the goal for these type of people is, as you can see, right? The goal for that group of people is to convince all the majority who have no money here, no resources, that one day that they can make it, and if they believe that one day they can make it, they will never want to change the system.
I posted some things on my Snapchat, and every time things like that happen, I was like, church, because I know the feeling, and I know, like, say to the person on your left, like, I know how that works. So those are the things. That's what I mean. I'm sober. I'm too sober to. But what you said is interesting, because those are the things that maybe also because I'm from the Netherlands, but I don't know a lot about that system. And I'm always curious about, okay, but where does the money go? And does that mean that all these people are just fake and just like trying to those are a lot of people, you know? Hearing what you say, and also like I ask a lot of questions, I think a lot. I think it's how is that person with her I feel like it's a good thing that she got the money. There was someone who did something in healthcare. There was someone who did something with juices. Like,
You talking about the pitch contest?
there was a pitch contest,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
there was also someone else in the public that, like, a lot of people got checks randomly. They got to like say out loud what they were doing, and then they were like, okay, she's gonna help you with this, and then another person got mentoring. And when I see that, I'm like, those people, not all of them seem people to me that don't have a mindset to grow in business. They were saying who is at rock bottom in their business, who really needs it, and then all these people got up, and they were and the host he went in, and then those people were like with their hands up, and I was looking like, oh my God, this is what this does to you also.
So the vendors had to pay $1,500.
What?
Yeah.
Damn, I hope they made the.
So, but that's what I'm saying. That's why it's important to like scope out the whole.
But
thing
don't they
because-
have to pay for? Because I'm not trying to. I'm really hearing you.
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
that
yeah.
you know, but they do have to pay for. It's like this is how you organize something. You have to, like, this is how everybody gets their money, and they do it on a bigger scale, like, right? I'm not saying it's wrong or right. I'm just saying
mean-
this is like people have a product, have an event, anything, and you have a price tag when you write a book, and I have to if I want to live from that, if I want to make money out of that, I have to pay let me say $100. But when I sell the book, I will ask more money for it, because if I don't,
I mean, I think it's the same concept of the raffle though. If they're doing a raffle, right, and they taking $2, like, so that man on the stage doing a raffle, and it's $2 to get in the raffle, and at the end they're gonna take half, and then somebody here are gonna win half. Majority of people gonna walk out here with losing money.
That's true. But that's where, okay, I hear what you say. I think the only difference is that I don't feel like I spend a lot of money here, but I don't feel like I lost anything.
And the key word there is what?
I
Don't
feel. Because I gained a lot.
Yeah, but it's still like, so feelings also should be.
Yeah, I know I spent something, but you can, like, I feel like money is not only the only thing that is worthy.
I agree, but that's why it wouldn't be called InvestFest and talk about being rich.
Yeah,
that is money.
and that is true. But
So
I can't,
because the whole event is about money.
You're right. You are right.
You when you look at the advertisement, you see dollars flying everywhere.
You are right. And I think I'm just like my point of view goes beyond the money. The fact that I didn't even realize that I was that it's called InvestFest and it's about investing, but I wasn't even there for that purpose. That says a lot about how I, with what mindset I came here. But you are right, because most of the people here are coming for that.
It has to be evidence in something beneficial, and it has to go beyond feeling.
Did you speak to some of the people who, that as you described, the lady that was running to Lauren London? Did you get to talk to people like that?
I spoke to a sister doing the pitch.
Okay.
I spoke to a couple of the vendors. I spoke to regular people, and there's certain people in the celebrity class here that I know, and I've talked to, like, I talked to one guy with the big podcast. I saw him up front. He was a VIP too, and he even told me, he said, "Man, I don't really care about none of this stuff. I'm in doing it for the money."
Yeah, 50 said that on stage. He said it. I think it's important what you are doing.
It might be.
I think it is. I think it is because sometimes you just don't want to see something. I said this the other day. Sometimes you just don't want to think further than the what you're seeing. You don't want to look further than that, knowing that there's more. So what you do makes me, I don't know if I cannot speak for other people, but it gets me, it challenges me to see this perspective. It challenges me to do that. So I think that's a good thing. And it doesn't change the fact that I really, like, I don't regret coming here. I really had the time of my life. I met a lot of great people.
So So again, when you look
at man.
When you look at like the whole thing. So last week in our study group, while we were reading Armed Struggle, we were talking about something, and it led to like invest fest versus a curve fest, essence fest versus like, and playing on Black people's attraction or desire to engage in festivals, and in these Invest Fest and the Essence Fest, which a lot of people that was at Invest Fest, they go to every last one of those festivals, like all of them, you know. And
how you know they're talking about festival? It could be fester.
Dude, that's fair. Broccoli fester. So the passion and vibes and inspiration is like that's what people are coming for, and but again, like and for the other sister whose hair, and then some people, there was one dude, he was talking like weird, like spacey, and the protons and the neutrons and the electrolyte, and I'm like, yo, and then at one point Amber was like, yo, let me talk to her. I was trying to tell her no, but she still started talking to him. I was like, bro, you sound like you beyond money, and this place is all about money. I'm not sure why you're here. So a lot of people are trying to claim like they don't want to be rich while celebrating all the rich people talking on the stage. And again, as she's talked about a trend, if you remember the first interview, she saw the trend online. It's like, I gotta be there. Didn't even know what it was about, but I gotta be there. And so,
but first of all, I appreciate that you went and did that and got that interview and had these discussions. But just to this point, I mean, I've noticed this already. If you go to Earn Your Leisure's YouTube page, by judging by the view counts, when they get into things that are slightly traditionally political, they don't really do well, relatively speaking. But their biggest video counts, when they get into the hidden truth and ancient civilizations and secrets of the soul and the food matrix and unlock your third eye, that's where they hit the millions of views. That's their biggest view count. Their biggest view counts are not for their economics. It's not for their discussions of politics. I mean, the view counts are wildly different when it gets into that. And that's why even recently, we may come back to this, they've even been complaining about the drop in view counts with as they say, people being back outside after the pandemic. But I think the reality is what you captured in that interview is what most people are going for. They're going for celebrity. They're going for some vague immateriality, spirituality, feelings, vibes, and maybe the hopes of obviously getting rich. But a lot of it has nothing to do with that. She does. And when you ask her some of the things about BlackRock and economics, she's just not well informed. So it's like a revival. It's like So
here's like the vendor space. I don't know if y'all can see it.
I like that you said revival, because the religious or supernatural component is something we also miss. You know, this is almost identical to the rhetoric and the practices of the prosperity gospel.
But you got to remember though. You got to remember when we played that EY not Invest Fest. Damn, what is it? American Sesh. When Pinky said, "Me and my husband are like the pastors and the DJ is like the choir," she did the same shit on the stage. She actually had American Sesh on the stage with and she explicitly say, we need the downtrodden, the broke. We want broke people in the room with us. And that's
the thing I talk about all the time with a lot of these so-called Black people who want to liberate, empower, awaken Black people. When you've been subjected to generations of indoctrination and menticide, there's three ways to engage with that. You can exploit people's indoctrination, you can compound it, reinforce it, validate it, or you can expunge it. And if you take the third option of expunging people's doctrination, you're going to operate in relative obscurity. And a lot of times, even when people come with this positive message Black empowerment, Black liberation, most of them, the vast majority, if we ran down the list of people who speak publicly, most of them exploit our indoctrination or compound it.
Mm-hmm.
It's only a small number of scholars, public figures who truly will challenge the people, because it's not a very pleasant place, because you get all of the backlash of being Black, conscious, radical, but you get very few of the accolades and supports and celebration.
Right. So there's whenever I mentioned BlackRock, she was like BlackRock, and she went and Google it, and she saw all the white people in the lineup. She was like, I was like, and so I think it was funny too, is like, because when we was walking through this place to go in this room to interview, but before she was like, yo, I still want to take a picture by the sign, and on the sign is BlackRock and all the other people, and nobody can, they either can't see it or don't know nothing about it. And another interesting thing, so they had a pitch contest where people would pitch their ideas, and I'll show you a video of the lady who won with the juices. And in fact, I want to play a game and see what we would do, Diallo, since you had a juicing company. But what we would do without a brick and mortar and just a juice company, and if we got $100,000, how will we spend that? We'll do that in a second. But the pitch contest was for people like, for instance, the top two people were a dude who made a wax version of Nipsey Hussle. So Nipsey Hussle, there's this big wax mural or whatever that is, or statue of Nipsey Hussle, against the sister who sell juices, and the sister who sell juices win. But what's interesting to me, and I couldn't find, and I was looking for the numbers, but Microsoft, what's his name, Nipsey Hussle brother, and EYL came up together with $100,000 to give out
big checks. I love big checks.
No, but the thing is, the way it reads, it sounds like Microsoft gave that money, all of the money. But I don't know. But even more so, imagine being at an Invest Fest with all these rich Black people, and the white people gotta give you the money for the grant. Why 50 ain't get a grant? Why Steve Harvey ain't get the grant?
Because they were there to collect checks, not
exactly. What are you talking about? You hustling backwards.
I don't care. You flash a big check in front of me, I'm ready to listen to anything you got to say to me. I love the Ed McMahon checks.
Erica did say on the remix the other day, on Tuesday, that I don't think she could confirm it, but she did mention that Microsoft and some other company was also involved with that money. So
it don't matter. Why is it only 100,000 when it was 1 million last year?
Who? No, you keep mixing it up. The million was supposed to be given to EYL to invest. That 100,000 is a grant that go to Black businesses. You remember when she said, everybody said, who need money? And they're like, me.
Wait, it don't matter. Big check is big check.
Well, anyway.
Don't matter where it came from or where it's going. It's all about the ceremony.
So I think there was one other brother who sat next to me in the VIP. I think he finessed his way up there too, because he was like, "Yo, can I sit right here?" And I'm like, "I don't know, man, because I think somebody else about to sit down here." He stood there, and then he finally like, "Yo, man, can I sit? Tell somebody to show up." I was like, "Sure, man." He sat down. The whole time he was like, "Hey, man, can you hold my seat? I'm gonna go take a picture of Osiris. Oh, I'm gonna try to ask Ian," and that's what he was there for. And if you see a video of Lauren London walking, Black Sam was walking before, and this lady runs up to Black Sam and is like, "Hey, can I whatever?" And I think Black Sam might have bought a t-shirt from her, Nipsey's brother. And then right after that, Lauren London's walk with her daughter or kid, and the lady tried to run up to Lauren London. Lauren, she just like brushed her off and like, "Yo, I ain't got time for that. I'm with my kid," and they walked back. So obviously, the goal is, especially during the vendor market, is to try to get a picture of the people, try to get them holding your product, maybe even buying a product. They're not going to endorse your product. That's not going to happen. But if you're nice with the finesse, you might can get that happening. But yeah, so Diallo answered the question around, why the people who come to get a check is not giving some of that check back. But again, we talk about the feeling part, which was very interesting to me, and I knew she would answer like that because of the first interview. She said vibes, and she's intentional about what she want to get from it. So I think what I put on her mind is like, damn, I gotta come back to the second interview with saying there's some type of benefit or material benefit from it, and all she had was the feelings. But I did want to do this, so I want to show y'all this this one guy. I think he's
what you ain't even mentioned Elaine Brown. When did she start flipping tables like Jesus Christ and the Money Changers?
Bro, listen.
When did she finally, as she strategically infiltrated the enemy camp, only to
part of my finesse? I could have gone into Elaine Brown's workshop with another Black Lives Matter person, because the thing was Black Lives Matter as wealth, community wealth, or something like that. And I told Erica, like, no, I'm not about to go in there. You just tell me how it is. I'm gonna keep interviewing people. But when she went in there, she was saying she'd be slapping white people and
right. I knew it. I knew it was a ruse.
teasing them because they don't know how to get into the AI and all this other stuff like that. And the playing fields are level. Yeah, I wasn't about to go in.
Elaine Brown said the AI leveled the playing field.
She said something about AI too. Her AI comment was very similar to Van.
It was
Jones.
a ruse. Y'all don't know nothing about infiltration. Them high level mathematics, three-dimensional chess infiltration.
She's not infiltrating.
Spy. Any moment now, she's gonna hit the community with a report from her intelligence, Pan-African intelligence operations infiltration.
One of the relationships I was trying to look into, and we need. Have you seen this documentary, Jared? Our America in the Black, in the Black. It's a partnership with ABC owned television stations.
No,
but. And I think it's free because I looked it up and you could just watch it on ABC. Maybe my computer just got some skills. But this dude, Daryl Booker, he was on their stage and he's like one of the leading philanthropists for Microsoft. And I want to look into their relationship, but I couldn't find anything other than him being on the stage with them. But I know that's how they got that Microsoft money somehow.
Sponsored. I'm looking at it now. Microsoft sponsored video. You see that out the gate.
Yeah.
So our America in the Black. What is this nonsense about to be, man?
We should watch that and look into that.
I'll watch it. I will watch it. Speaking of that, tomorrow everybody come back for Saturdays with Renee because she made me watch Daughters on Netflix, which is just a horrible nightmare of abuse. And she's bringing on actual people who do the actual work of reuniting incarcerated people with their families. But I praised Renee at the beginning of the show. I'm a little bit mad at her for making me watch that. But oh my goodness. So
what was wrong with it?
They had a daddy-daughter dance in prison. Yeah. You don't got Netflix, do you?
And it's prison is okay.
Low value mail.
prisons are just here, and when all these black men lamenting their permanent errors I can't even get I gotta write something down to have it was just so abusive. First of all, it almost had me crying out the gate, because one of the first scenes is you see this little girl hugging her father and she's just bawling, and it just brought me back to all kinds of, I was just in there like, oh, so out the gate they're already messing with you emotionally and then psychologically, and then what you realize what it is, it's just another form of propaganda, and we need prisons. And if it wasn't for these horrific black men constantly messing up, we wouldn't need these prisons, and their children would be fine. It's just a lot of, and then you see the pain in these daughters. I mean, it's just so much. It's just so abusive. The whole thing is just abuse. So, but yeah, so tune in tomorrow morning so we can talk more about it. But thankfully Renee has a new, she's updated some work on breaking down who's really working with Kamala, and oh my God, man. So we're gonna get into all of that too. But oh my God.
So yeah, they did have this had this like incredible young kid on here with the math skills. Y'all probably seen him on. And he's
quick question. Can Devin teach you guys some math real quick?
Yes.
No, I haven't seen this. This is a viral thing. Oh wow.
This from the crowd. Any two
This
numbers?
is what Diallo was talking about last week, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm. He kept brushing the mic off. Get off me, Daddy.
43, IQ is 512, IQ is 729, IQ is 1,000, 11Q is 1,331.
Is he calculating how much everybody spent to be there?
Say hi, Devin.
Man, leave them kids alone.
Yeah, but so real quick though, what I want to do is I want to show y'all this lady who won, and let's see if we could be her business advisor and tell her or tell the audience what we would have done with this $100,000 as a a juice entrepreneur, if that's what she can call herself. But
I don't know where you put the rumor out. I used to hustle juice.
I thought you used to sell some. I thought never mind, bro.
He had a whole restaurant.
What did that take? I'll ask you a question while they taking it in. So this took 9
Oh man, what is that?
Wax.
That's what it was.
Man.
I tell you, it's an egophy. It's Christ. I mean, this is some cultish shit.
That's just spooky.
I was sitting next to Kendra too.
See, I was gonna say something, but California cat, they don't play.
Wait, that's not the one. Where's the pitch?
I was about to say something, but y'all been good role models to me, because I was gonna reference how they have Jesus Christ has the holes in his hands and the spear in his side whenever he's here. I can't go there.
No, that's Nipsey's kids.
Amazing. And all you guys have a bright future.
Look at that yacht too.
It was a very tough decision. We wanted something that really represented the entrepreneurial journey. We wanted to see somebody who could it impact the most, right? Like what this 100,000 could do to their business.
One person kind of stuck out to me the most, who could take this 100K and really charge up and take off the most.
The winner of our 2024 business grant in honor of Nipsey Hussle and our partners with Microsoft, the Marathon, the Hustle Foundation.
Big check.
Is Divine Luminance.
That's right, the foundation and Microsoft.
Look at the Holy Ghost. Tell me that's not a Holy Ghost. Damn.
It is.
Thank you. Y'all believed in me. Y'all believed in us.
Prosperity gospel.
He's gonna be so happy. This stage 4B is behind us. He is healed. This is going to touch everybody fairly.
Wow.
Near and far, no matter what color, what culture. This is for humanity. We choose it for humanity. It's right here. That's how I feel.
They juicing for humanity. That's how she feels.
Listen, I mean, the religious overtones are just, they take me away. I see them, they're there, they're blatant, but they take me away every time.
So listen, man, I did my little researchy thing. I only did a little bit of research, and I was really trying to find out about the business before the 100,000. She don't, they doing ghost kitchen type stuff, so they juicing, making the juice and then selling it at different places. But I could tell you what she is doing it. When juice is for humanity, is also for them pigs.
Oh no.
Purple Lochner here with Dallas.
Oh no.
Is going to try fresh juice. We have beets, apple, orange, carrot, and ginger.
Oh my God.
You got to stay hydrated while he's out here committing atrocities.
You need those electrolytes.
Right.
Very good.
To swing those clubs.
Especially
I mean, you know how much endurance it takes to imply an illegal chokehold.
Drinking this on a daily basis. Yeah.
I mean, wow.
They got the most piggiest looking pig that ever pigged. Like, they couldn't find a minority cop with tattoos or something. Gee, why they got the most stereotypical cop? If I was casting in a movie, if I was a casting agent and I needed to hire a racist cop, You know,
Listen,
she couldn't find.
Slow down, man. Slow down.
No,
We're gonna give her some advice.
They got
now.
like cops out here in turbans and hijabs. There's all kind of cops out here now. The empire has expanded its reach.
Diallo, you can't be a consultant disparaging our client. So what I need you to do is get into your entrepreneurial advisory bag. This sister has a juice business. Her and her husband, I think she healed her husband from cancer with the juices. And then, that's chill out, man. That's their story. And okay. She has $100,000 now. What will you do next to scale your business up, to change your life, as those brothers say on stage? $100,000 and you just got juices and stuff. Will it be equipment? Will it be brick and mortar? Like where y'all going, my advisors?
If I was given $100K for my small business, well, to be honest, it'd have to depend on the state of that business, because most businesses don't generate any real profit. They're just over or just under sustainable. So I would probably sell the business and put that $100K in a interest-bearing CD.
What about the generational wealth?
That's no such thing. Generational wealth is the biggest lie. There's no such thing as generational wealth. That's
never mind, guys. Sorry, that was technical difficulties. Jared,
go give me a little CD somewhere.
Diallo, you messing up our bag,
bro. First of all, job, try to get my
messing up our bag, bro. You messing up the bag.
I don't know. So first of all, I don't know what the deal is with what they said is a grant. Does she have to pay taxes on that? Because that'd be the first thing I would do is get that part taken care of and make sure I'm clear with that. Because I'm not messing with this, and I'm official. I just qualified for global entry, so I am clearly it's official. I am not a threat. If anybody ever thought I was, I am officially a non-threat. I passed through that process with ease, and I want no issue with the federal government. So pay the taxes first if you have to. I'm not even sure, but just pay the taxes. Honestly, after that, I don't know enough about business to in that business in particular and where she is specifically. But $100,000, even if it is tax free, it's really not as much as it sounds like. And if you're trying to scale up, no, I mean it's so. I think what Diallo said about putting it into something that's going to be interest bearing, pay off your credit card,
not the stock market.
I mean, but the idea that when
insured.
And I don't know what the brother said in that clip when he said that he wanted to see this money go to somebody that could by the way, Comrade P wants to as he said, pop on.
Okay.
I'm just going
phrasing.
I'm just in case. So we're clear. This is a family show. But I would it's just not as much money as people think. And when he said this will help her charge up, if I don't know what exactly he meant by that, but if he had all meant anything about scaling up and developing her business, 100,000 is just not that much money. So it's not going to, as she said, go to everybody's family. It's all of that. It's just so and what does it say here? 400,000, 25 to 400,000 to start a juice bar. Yeah,
and if you rent, it'll be 275,000.
So honestly, I don't know where she is, as Diallo was pointing to, but if maybe she's close enough where this money could help her get to a stage where actual venture capitalist investment would be likely. That might be, that might be where she gets the help. But definitely check on that tax thing first, because they don't play. They don't play, and when they pop up, when your name pop up on that screen, it's a problem. So
here's what. So contrary to the video that you sent of the guy saying that earn your leisure is on a down slope, one of the things he said was like they needed to switch up their delivery, and I think that's what InvestFest will allow them to be gone for a long time. So they don't even need the YouTube at this point. Like what they're doing with InvestFest, they don't got BlackRock invest. Like they can have the YouTube don't even matter at this point. Like they're probably trending. I don't know, but this festival is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And what I was telling the sister from the Netherlands, I was like, those white people waited till they can get enough bag for them to, okay, we'll put some money on it now. Now you can get enough of y'all in the room, we'll put some money on it. They charging y'all, and they got sponsors. They charge y'all a lot, and they got sponsors. They walking away getting bread, a lot of bread. And they got a book deal coming up. So it's like,
yeah, I'm trying to tell, this is why we have to be Pan-African, because the diaspora needs our help as much as we need theirs. And I am still convinced, all jokes aside, that those who know white people the best are Black folks in this country. The particular nature of our experience here has necessitated a level of awareness that I think a lot of folks are unclear about. And if you're in the Netherlands, if your primary experience with whites is modern day Netherlands, you might be confused. They're over there bike riding and distributing wealth, and they don't allow tips, and all the drugs are legal and the sex work is legal if you're an Eastern European immigrant, apparently.
White folks always make time for racism. There's always
no, but I'm saying, but the Black people, no, but what I'm not saying, no. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying there's none. I'm saying the style of it, that Black Pete ceremony they have and all of that it's styled. I think it might confuse people into thinking it's kind of like when people in experience racism through the northeastern white elite in the United States. It's not that it's not there, but it might confuse you into thinking that there's been some progress or adjustment.
I just don't see how. I just don't
really
see how. Yeah, the Nordic white folks and their racist right-wing organizations and
yeah, but they're like, but again, it's like in this. But they're like on this.
Let me tell you something. White folks can be as prosperous as they want to be. They're going to make time for racism. Or just like, remember in Ukraine, when they were fleeing bombs, they made time for racism while they were fleeing air raids. So
before we move on, I want to ask a question to y'all in the audience. So the pre-interview, the sister who's from the US was saying like, are you going to go? Have you ever went? I think your opinions and thoughts will change if you've gone. And then just so happened, again, I got into the spaces, and she texted me on IG, was like, oh, I'm so glad that you went. Now I can't wait till the second interview. As we talk about with books, would y'all agree, in the audience too, like,
hold up, wait a minute. Again, please, Tanaka and everybody, this is don't let the Diallo effect take over on you. Listen to what I actually said. That's why I specifically used modern day Netherlands, where I have happened to have been twice in the recent years. That's all I'm saying. It makes me no expert. I'm just happy to say, just coincidence. My only point is, again, it's not worth arguing, but don't drag my argument. Don't drag my comments down like that. Don't let the Diallo effect.
Let's all flee to the Netherlands.
That's not the. There you go.
Sanctuary for Africans, victims of racism. Sanctuary. We finally found Netherlands forever.
Okay. All right. There it is. That's it. My bad, Geechee. I tried to just defend myself, man. But
so I mean, in terms of the Netherlands, I actually, although all there were white people that was in the Netherlands, I did like the houseboats, all the houseboats and the parking garage for bikes, but it's just too white. But my question was, is there some credibility or validity to this? You can't really critique it if you haven't been there for an event like this. Do you say that still holds? Because the people say that in terms of reading books, you can't critique books, and you got to watch it first and all this other stuff. Do y'all hold true to that at any capacity, that it was necessary for me to have gone there?
No.
Go ahead. Why not?
Because these guys are not doing anything new or unique. So if someone comes out to repeat a fixed and ongoing cycle within our community that dates back decades or generations, then no, we ain't got to go through. Kwame Ture said, the most inefficient way to learn something is through trial and error. So you keep repeating, no, you got to go there to really see. No, you don't. And you judge a book by its cover. Because even if the cover misrepresent what's in the book, that tells you a lot about the book and who put it out. So you informed. So even if the book is inconsistent with the cover, who the fuck puts out a book like that? So yeah, judge that book by its cover. Don't waste your time, your resources, and don't give your energy to that bullshit. No, you didn't have to go. I'm glad you went there. I think it's valuable because there are people who are falling for the okey doke. But no, I think we can sit far away and distant without ever clicking on a button to look at it even virtually and pretty much predict everything that was done and said. And we can predict the outcomes and we can predict what's going to happen next year. And I bet you if we name top 5 headliners, we'd probably be 90% or more right about who they're going to call next year. Because it's the same shysters. I don't know, that's an insensitive term. Running the same scams and the same hustles. But I can't even blame them because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's like saying, what's going to happen? Did I need to go to the DNC to know what was going to happen? Did I need to go to the goddamn RNC to know what game they was going to run? Come on, no. But
so I think the only problem, I agree. I think the only problem you would have is if you claimed to be there and misreported or reported something without being there, or if you claimed that if your argument was based on something specific to where you would have had to have been there. But making an overall assessment of that festival or that gathering in light of other work, and if you had not gone and present as part of your final conclusion that you had not been to that, but you're still able to reach this conclusion based on this, and this, then that would be the only problem. But other than that, no, you don't have to be there because, in other words, and how would anyone perform any critique of anything regarding history? You don't have to have been in ancient China to assess or study ancient China. You just have to account for the fact that you weren't there and in reaching your final conclusion. That's it.
And let me say this: I'm gonna go further than critique and assessment. I'm gonna make a prophecy. Not one person. If you didn't walk into InvestFest a millionaire, you ain't walking out a millionaire. I don't care if you apply everything you learned, everything that was advocated, and you fully energized and fully mobilized every connection you make. If you didn't walk into that motherfucker a millionaire, you're not walking out a millionaire.
But
I would add to that you won't even become one after you walk out.
No, but she correctly said it. You remember when she said, like, this inspirational thing and this all these emotions, and then at the end of the day, you forgot the first steps after you left. Nobody can tell you. Nobody can tell you what them cats said. You could say, "Well, I remember Steve Harvey said it's hard to be broke."
No, because this was, and it's something I would at some point maybe want to follow up on, and maybe Erica Brown will in her work, which she kind of does already in her forthcoming as yet soon to be published work. But if you look at, first of all, there are no steps that they would offer, because if they actually had steps to take to invest to wealth, they would have done it by now. And that's what their primary business would be about: quietly staying at home, investing and making billions. The steps that they want you to take is to pay your way to them through their platforms and their festivals to get the fantasy of becoming wealthy. But the other thing that they do is much like all the other so-called pundits, they're all over the place. So when crypto is up, they tell you to be in crypto. And when it collapses, they come back on and say, well, I told you to have diversified and to have also been in real estate. But then when the real estate bubble collapses, they would say, well, that's why I told you you should have also been in this, that, and the third. As long as you keep coming back and paying me and subscribing here and da-da-da-da-da-da. So that's why you can't take any steps. Even if she was fully lucid and note-taking and remembering everything, she would not be able to take any steps that would lead to anywhere.
And I found a big pot of gold. Do you think I'm gonna run back to the town and say, hey, y'all need to come over the hill right here?
Oh, see,
I just found 10 bales of gold. Nigga, I'm gonna shut my damn mouth. I'm gonna pack this gold up and I'm gonna go hide it. Nobody who knows how to make money is going to show you how they made money. I hate to see people falling for this because you're the method. You're the method. Now, of course, you know, they had after parties and things of that nature. It's pretty much a 3-day weekend where everybody come down and all the hustlers get together and everybody do what they do. I'm really making this video for the small business owner, somebody that probably ain't got 300 to waste, going to an event to hear rich people talk amongst rich people on how they were successful. I just think that model doesn't work. And with people paying these prices to go to these events, I just hope people don't get swindled out of their money. Now, naturally, I'm pretty sure they have things to pay. So maybe that's why the ticket prices were so.
And how many of the presenters actually generated wealth from investment?
I ain't seen none of them. And I mean, again, that was my for the sister from Amsterdam. That was my first question. Like, and I literally had to keep reminding her and other people that they're at Invest Fest. Like, you're at Invest Fest, and these guys who host an Invest Fest say you deserve to be rich. Like, I had to keep reminding people that. Like, there's one dude talk about he was having this Pan-African, and me and Erica was talking to him, some Pan-African podcast talking about investing in Africa and we need to get away from this stuff. And I said, what economic system are African people more aligned with? He was like, he couldn't answer. He's like, well, I just know it's, and I said, you sound like you want socialism. He was like, well, you know, so I'm telling you, I had to literally have conversations with people telling them like, yo, no, yes, you do want to be rich. That's why you're here. But I mean, maybe it's a worthy research to be like, see how many people come to literally network. Now, if it's just a network thing, just say that. Just say you come to network and you come to meet people. You put on your fly shit. I just say you put that shit on, and then do that.
Network is a scam and a hustle. You think 50 Cent is answering any calls or responding to any DMs from anybody in that room under that roof? The network is a scam. And
you're also not likely to be able to charge as much. If you just say we're here to network, you have to say you're here to get rich.
I just want to see the financials. I want to see how much money went in ticket sales.
Ian Dunlap said he is the master investor. We have the master debater with us. He is the master investor. Why doesn't he? And maybe he does, and I just don't see them. Where are the videos where he's breaking that down? I see all these videos where he's part of the group talking about news of the day or
but here's the thing. Here's the issue with that. Let's say Warren Buffett did that. It doesn't matter. A Warren Buffett can come and tell, do you know how much one share of Berkshire Hathaway is? Just one share?
Actually, no.
It's over $100,000 for one share. So even if I come and tell you the hottest stocks, Nvidia is like one of the hottest stocks last week, because this week it could be crashing out. Like one share of Nvidia is like 5 or 6 G's. So even if I could start a channel tomorrow telling you, you know, because the information is in my back pocket in my phone, I could create a channel. These are the hottest stocks, and these are the upward trends. It doesn't matter if you don't have the goddamn resources. I can tell you the most beautiful vacation spot in the world.
If I made this, somebody make some noise.
And I can tell you the most beautiful vacation spot in the world. But if you ain't got the resources to get there, what am I doing by telling you where it at? So it doesn't matter. Good stuff. Anybody can be a good investor. When you get to a certain level of fiat and wealth, it's almost impossible to go broke. How many times has Donald Trump filed bankruptcy? How many times have multinational corporations been bailed out? So you get to the point where you are in the economic system. The system, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, they get to the point where they live off of people's belief that they live off stock auctions. They don't even get, so it's not Black people's lack of information, lack of understanding, lack of picking the right stocks or getting on the right economic trends is not the source of our poverty. So, it's no different than Africans on a plantation trying to figure out which acreage of cotton has the highest bounty. And all the Africans run over there to try to pick it. Because no matter how much it goes to the
Diallo is hating, bro. Diallo.
Juma and I were on the same thing. I went and looked up the stock.
If I made you some money, say hell yeah. If I made you some money, say hell yeah. Then everybody's like, you don't want to be left out. Everybody else saying hell yeah, so it got to be true.
Yeah, that's why I said get rich or lie trying. Like that dude, I don't know who that dude y'all popped up said, but I've been around some wealthy Black folks, and not one of them was interested in my well-being and interested in helping me to join their illustrious class status.
Listen, man, the master.
This is not financial advice, everybody. You can get Part B for 400. We know ZZ knows what he's talking about.
You get Part B for
dude. I don't know. Burt 700,000 stock.
So one of the brothers was I told y'all I want to see the sister who from Atlanta, who her friend was like, I ain't going to that. I'm just going to focus on my business. But he had a comment just like other people. One brother said, my thing is people will pay for overpriced drinks and dinners every night, but complain about the $250 ticket that gives you 3 days access to networking and some of our culture's brightest thinkers. That's crazy. Y'all spend more than that on y'all shoes. Stop hating. So that's what Chase in Money said.
But you get something tangible and usable with shoes
and food.
Yeah.
But,
so
if you oh my goodness. Didn't JT the pocket watcher tell us the same thing though?
What now? What now are you saying he told us?
He said we spend money on fingernails and Gucci bags and Jordans.
I'm actually I'm not surprised, but I don't think it will happen. But I know they're trying to get Jay-Z, and Jay-Z probably will not do it for no amount of money. I'll be shocked if Jay-Z headline any one of those.
Jay-Z got a price too. They just ain't met it. You really think why won't he do it for no amount of money? Because of his dignity?
No, I just think he looks.
You need Super Bowl money. You need NFL money.
No, yeah.
I think it's beneath him.
Talking about,
I think he'd be like, it's beneath me. I'm not.
It depends.
The price is beneath him. Look at Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg is in Bollywood.
But I think if Jay-Z's
Skechers,
white colleagues are involved, that would be how he would get there. If Larry Fink says, I need Jay-Z to be involved and comes up with the right check, it won't be Rashad and what's his name. It'll be the Bill Gates. The connection would come through the Microsoft and the BlackRock and
the price
whatever else.
That's how it was with Revolt. Remember, like they said it was afraid. Once they got Diddy number, they was all hype, but they didn't want to misuse it. So maybe.
So I would like to see what they would have done with that.
Like I know that would be the biggest selling invest pest. And honestly, like I mean, I don't know. The one thing I did think about, like, even though they did have security there, they had like police walking around with guns and saying, like, at one point they was like, if you're a spectator, don't get in this line, something, don't do something. I can't remember what they said, but don't do something that's gonna put your family in a bad position, something like that. So I guess if you was in the line and you didn't get a ticket, the police were gonna put them paws on you. But again, like there was no metal detectors, there was no searching. Like you just walk right up in there. You can walk in there and do whatever you want to do and do what you do. So I think if Jay-Z came, which is weird because they didn't do, Steve Harvey was there and maybe they had a different security type thing around, but like anybody from the street could have just walked right into the place. They might not get into the.
Can you say one good thing, like R. Kelly said? Can you say one good thing about the devil?
One good thing about Invest Fest. Me and Erica was we had a fun time laughing at shit.
So you got to link up with Eric. Okay, that works.
No insights. Nothing that you couldn't glean from being on the streets.
I mean, I don't know, man. Just like, I don't know, bro. The little kid was
Stone Shouters. How was the food?
So that's the thing too. So the first day I went, you have to get the wristband to get into the vendor market. And the vendor market was food vendors. No black owned restaurant, no nothing. It was like Chick-fil-A but then the second days that's when they had all the food trucks outside. So the black food trucks was out there. One, vegan, Pinky had her food. Ooh. Thank you. So I'll tell you about that. So Pinky them had her food truck and other people had their food trucks. And it was all black owned, but the lines was crazy. There's no way. I don't like lines. But there's no way I'm about to stand in any of those lines. But once everybody went to see 50, the lines was done. So I went to go get. So I got some food, and I was talking to the one of the sister who was taking the orders at Pinky's food truck, and I'm like, "Yo, how do y'all do this? Are y'all like contract?" And she was like, "Oh well, no, everybody's here are paid employees hourly." I was like, "Oh." She said, well, they do partnership with already established chefs. So it's like something to where she will partner with you as an established chef and you could, I don't know, host a food truck. It was like a weird thing. And I actually was supposed to talk more, but I didn't. But I was trying to get into how much are y'all getting paid at this food truck? Because I know that they already had issues with paying people at Bar Vegan and even Slutty Vegan, but I was just very curious about that. But I did hear some kind of weird arrangement where they're contract. The cookers are contract, and then I guess the rest of the people are like paid worker. But if you're like a vegan chef that has a following or have some type of clout, you can be contract to work with Slutty Vegan in some type of way. So I don't know if it's Bar Vegan or whatever, but I thought that was interesting. Yeah, $10.99.
Wow.
But I can't find nothing positive right now, bro. I mean, I really
hater.
Other than the fact that I got in VIP, bro. There was some horrible speakers though, like really bad speakers, like Nehemiah Jones or whatever his name. I don't even know who these people are. He been on Steve Harvey's show, but I used to be into motivational speaking, and them cats are not good at all. Like they're really bad at it. But I guess you don't have to be that good at motivational speaking when you have all that star power out there. So, what you about to say, Jared?
No, I was going to see if we had time to move on to other things on the run sheet or other topics, but I didn't mean to.
Yeah, let's get into some Zionists on the campus.
So, no, go ahead.
Actually, do we want to start with Nefa talking about Diallo's comment last week about saying who's worse between Biden and Harris, or you want to go to the campus?
No, yeah, let's do that. Where's Nefa's comment?
I'll pull it up right now.
Yeah. Oh, he was talking to Diallo?
Well, he couldn't tag Diallo because he ain't had his tag joint, but he was this person posted this thing up which I think we should get into. I'm really serious about like looking at them policies and like going through it, because they don't be drastically different, but people be capping. But this was from
Margaret
Kimberly's post, and Netflix just tagged us in it. It was like, he said, I don't
didn't see that.
Yeah, but if he has one, but you might want to show him this. If I am not mistaken, last show he says something opposite to this. So the post was from Khalid El Shabawi. I don't know. Sabawi. To all of you who are trying to argue that Trump will be worse for Palestinians. Interesting. Please understand that there has been no U.S. administration in history that has been worse for Palestinians in Gaza than the Biden-Harris administration. None are even close. There is no atrocity, no evil, no depravity that Trump could think of doing that hasn't been sponsored by the Harris-Biden administration. Unshakable support for Israel's slaughter and torture of civilians in the guise of self-defense. You can argue all you want that he will be bad for America, but please don't dare argue that he would be worse for the Palestinians. So I don't even remember what Diallo said, but I think he always talk about like we go too hard on the liberals, but not so much on the right. But I don't
Never
remember.
said you go too hard. You don't remember? Yeah, you sure don't remember what I said.
Diallo, you ain't never said we go hard.
I never said.
Go ahead, Diallo. Diallo. So he was. So Netfa was responding to something he thought you said. So you saw that response. What if anything, Diallo, would you like to say about that?
Watch last week's show, and I said very clearly why Trump. I said why Trump's or Trump's or the Republican policies are even worse, more horrific. That is not to take away from the atrocities, the genocidal atrocities of previous administrations, but what they're announcing and what they're asserting. And if you go to the various
worse
campaign and policy platforms, yeah, it's bad. But looking at this from a wider perspective, it is peculiar to say this particular incursion into Gaza, and now that they're saying it's expanding into the West Bank, is trying to say, well, whether it's more horrendous than the Nakba or going back to the initial tragedy. I forgot the Arabic word that they used.
The Nakba, that's it.
The Nakba, that's it. Mm-hmm. Going back to the founding of it, But I was very clear. I've never said that you guys are too hard on the liberals. I've never said that. I don't think you can be too hard on the centrists, the liberals, and the pseudo left. I said you don't adequately target and attack the right, and there is a phenomenon that is significant and widespread enough where a lot of Black people who, in justified rejection of the Democrats and justified rejection of liberals, fully go into the right-wing reactionary camp because they think because they are mistakenly told that the liberals are the left. And so they are like, well, I don't like the liberals, so what other ideological platform or ideological stance do I have? Then go to right. So I said that's a disservice when you strictly attack liberals and don't adequately point out that there is an alternative to the left of liberalism, and that the right wing is objectively and materially worse than the liberals.
So do you think there's a problem with people saying because Biden and Trump policies will be the same impact in Cuba, will be the same impact in Palestine? You're saying yes, sure, but it won't be the same impacting domestically. Like they have differences.
No, it differs internationally too. Again, I think that I say this all the time. If you were part of the U.S. imperialist infrastructure, the U.S. security or intelligence apparatus, and you went into a CIA, Pentagon, FBI, back room to conspire against the poor, working class, and African people across the globe. And you sat at that conference table and looked across at your other spooks and economic hitmen and jackals and said, all blacks are the same. All communists are the same. All the socialists are the same. They would fire you. They were like, you are not competent enough to carry out espionage. And so you don't have to say, when you say something's not the same, it's not necessarily saying one is good and one is bad. When you look at the various methods, priorities, directions that something takes, or even the rationale and justifications. I said last week, since y'all gonna sit there and lie on me, when you look at Trump, even Trump is saying, I'm just going off of what the right and what they're saying. They're not just dealing with this from a political stance. They are dispensationalist. They believe that and their basic fundamental policies. I was not speaking to justify. I'm not speaking to justify the Biden administration or to say that the Biden administration is in any way good. But I'm saying, yes, shit can get worse. Now, Jared has concluded there's no possible way that things could get worse. And I explained to him about expansion.
That's not at all what I said.
Oh, so you believe that things can get worse over there?
Of course. I never said, when did I say it can't get worse? I just said there's no evidence. I've seen no evidence that Trump is automatically going to make it worse. In fact, what I've been trying to point to.
Was Trump better or worse on the Zionist genocide than Obama in his 4 years? We got hindsight.
Off the top of my mind, because the first thing I'm thinking of is Obama playing cover for the white phosphorus that Israel dropped on Palestine right when he was getting inaugurated. So it would be hard for me to conclude that Trump was worse. If I remember correctly, you were trying to say that Trump's moving the capital back to Jerusalem and supporting all of that was
objectively worse
than the white phosphorus cover being dropped on people.
But they were both,
I don't know about that.
You're acting as though wait. Did Trump ban or stop the use of outlaw cluster bombs and white phosphorus? Did Trump end that?
I doubt it. But Obama gave again. Trump
continued. Are there any atrocities or abuses that Trump discontinued from the Obama administration?
No, but so my point would
talking
be
about like Cuba, like the Cuba.
We're talking about Palestine.
But really, my point, whether it's Palestine or anywhere else, is that the constant refrain that the Democrats are some advance over the Republicans is what
I never said that.
I didn't. You just accused me of saying something that was factually incorrect. So I'm trying to just outline my broader argument. Not that you've said this, that the constant refrain that brings us back to voting for Democrats leads us to some worse Republican that leads us to a relatively, certainly to the previous Democratic administration, something worse than the previous one, and on we just tumble down. So it's the false juxtaposition of one against the other that bothers me more than anything. So and then the way we have to parse out these minuscule differences at the levels of genocide. So really what I'm trying to point out in this immediate moment is that the Democrats are not only presiding over an actual ongoing genocide, they're not only increasing the funding and the weaponry to that genocide, they are then on top of that simultaneously wanting to be juxtaposed against the Republicans as somehow better, and yet that Trump will somehow worsen this genocide. And I don't see evidence for that, and I don't see evidence for that sufficient enough to support Harris against that, as opposed to developing some sort of alternative. So I hope my point isn't that it can't get worse. My point is I don't know that there's evidence that the Trump administration will make it worse, because the Democrats seem to be making it worse on their own quite successfully.
Okay.
So do you think so Brittany was saying Diallo's point out is pointing out how bad both sides are, but how radicals only talk a lot about how horrible Democrats are without balancing the talk about the right consistently leading more ignorant right. So the right or Republicans in most spaces is not thrown in front of us being like, oh, this is better than Trump, or they're a winner, or black girl magic. Like they're not thrown at us like the Democrats are. So them getting more of a critique, I don't know if it's because we don't want to critique the right. It's just that that's the propaganda that we're combating at that point.
I do take for granted that it's a given and that it's too easy. So sometimes I would be open to that criticism that the criticizing the right. So for instance, when I did that, I keep coming back to this because selfishly I admit, but this Facebook post that I'm not with Harris, people who know me and some who have known me for decades were attacking me, I think rudely, as because I didn't in that moment openly say I am not posting this as a support for Trump, as if I should have to do that, especially if you understand the perspective I'm coming from. This is not to promote Trump. It's that it's a given that he is useless and horrible, this, that, and the third. But to your point, Geechee, it's that Harris is being promoted as something better and a positive. And I just don't think that's, and then even worse, they attach her to actual radical traditions of SNCC and Fannie Lou Hamer and all this other stuff, which is just factually and objectively false and part of the delusion. So yeah, I get it. But yeah, right. Yeah.
So real quick, a part of our effort to, again, focus on policy as opposed to pigment, personality, and people, two questions. The first one is, again, internationally and then domestically. Would you say that the Democrats and the Republicans are maybe using different methodologies to achieve the same thing? So when they're talking about that they're rebuilding the roads, bridges, highways, ports, airports, water systems, and more, we're seizing record amount of fentanyl and securing our borders in the face of Republicans' inaction. So they're not talking about building a wall, but they also talking about the borders. So Diallo, I wonder if I was trying to read the difference between the SNAP programs, the Republicans, and then the Democrats. So are there policies that you can kind of like point to where this is worse than this? When you're talking about Harris versus Trump, and then I guess back to the Palestine and other international things. Like, would you say that they're both trying to achieve the same thing? They, like, for instance, here they say they're strengthening NATO and restoring Americans' leadership in the world. Both groups are trying to do the same thing. They just might have different methods.
I can't hear shit. What the fuck?
You didn't hear his question?
Still can't hear?
You don't hear us?
Well, maybe Jarrett, you start in terms of having the same objective internationally and probably using different methods at times, but sometimes the exact same. And then domestically, is there some policies that you'd be like, well, this might be slightly better, this is better, i.e. a SNAP program or whatever?
No, I mean, I'm sure honestly, I don't have off the top of my head enough of the details between the two. And I'm sure there are things that the Democrats are offering, at least promising to be better with. I've already, some of what we hear that Trump wants to do in terms of whether it's shutting down borders and in terms of immigration and what else was the other one I just heard that he wants to, something about suppressing free speech. I don't know. There's all kinds of, so I'm sure, but one, to the extent that the Democrats actually mean what they say when they promise something different, or that B, Trump would be able to actually enact some of his own claims, it's that voting for Democrats only leads us back to a place where we're constantly fighting to defend one or another piece of legislation that seems to ultimately be lost anyway, whether it's voting rights, civil rights, reproductive rights, protecting the earth rights, unionization rights. These are all things that the Democrats have been promising either to advance or to protect. And yet all of it is just either they willfully give it away or they just don't put up enough of a fight to defend it, and it gets taken away anyway. Then on top of it, to my last point, there certainly internationally, we still see under Democratic presidents and secretaries of state, etc., the overthrow of African leaders, the assassination of leadership, the usurpation of leadership, the targeting assassination of teenagers under Obama for certain. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. And then, of course, right now, an ongoing genocide. And then we're right back to where we are, being told yet again, this is the most important election ever. You have to do this or you're holding us back. And we never really get to any of the good stuff. Like, when do we get to the good part, which is, for me, at minimum, universal health care, guaranteed incomes and work, improved labor relations, unions, all, like, some of these just basics that we can never seem to get to. Never mind an end of wars, a redistribution of the wealth that goes into the military industrial, like all of these things. We can't even get to any of this. Never mind even talk about them, because every election cycle we're told bringing this up is irresponsible, where the privileged class who can do this, so on and so forth. And I think it's factually incorrect, demonstrably false, and it's just frustrating, but it is frustrating. So I don't know if that speaks exactly to your question, but yeah, that's where I'm at with it.
Diallo, you back? Did you hear the question?
No, I didn't hear the question. My audio went out when I took out my headphones, so I lost it. I got that last part of Jared.
So pretty much reading the Democrats' plan and layout internationally, like, again, we talked about Cuba last week, same thing. Even though they promised something different, Palestine, remotely the same thing. Staunch support for Zionists. I wonder if you would say that internationally they want to achieve the same thing. Sometimes they have different methods. Both would talk about strengthening NATO to become, American police, or the world's police. And then, apart from the same goal, maybe different methodology internationally, domestically, would you say that there are things like maybe a SNAP? Maybe their taxes or engagement with the corporate elite. Would you say that there are specific policies that you could be like the Democrats or even the Republicans have a better policy for people domestically?
Yes, they do.
Like what? Give us one example, maybe.
You mean domestically?
Yeah, domestically, but in terms of internationally, would you say they pretty much have?
In terms of internationally, you asked me, do they have policies domestically, the Democratic Party? I said yes, and then you said, well, in terms of internationally, I don't understand. Are we talking?
No, what I was saying was, give me an example of the domestic policy that you said they different and one is better.
Issue.
Wait, but there's two questions, and the second question was, do you agree that internationally, the both parties have the same objectives? They just probably have different tactics.
I say that all the time.
Okay.
So yes, and I can give you examples, and I say that all the time. The Democrats do have some better policies, from the CHIP program to they tend to be better on. But here's the problem: when you're talking about Democratic policies, I don't think we keep looking at the parties top down instead of bottom up. And most of us, we engage with the government from bottom up. Most people have very little engagement with the federal government. And so from bottom up, having lived in red states and blue states, having lived under Republican local governance and Republican citywide or county governments, Republican, even governorship or going from the gubernatorial level on down. One of the policies locally is the moratorium on the death penalty. I think that is an enormously good policy that going from a Republican to a Democratic administration, and the moratorium on the death penalty. I know it doesn't impact all of us, but that is something especially for in a system of mass incarceration that targets African people, and having people that I grew up with do more than 2 decades in prison for crimes they didn't commit. Shout out to the Innocence Project for getting my dude out. So there are policies, specific policies that are better in positions. I think the Democrats are much better at maintaining the wall between church and state, and keeping the church out of and public, and also oversight and regulation. You know, where Trump was from the EPA to the Food and Drug Administration with food inspections and government oversight and regulation of industries and affordability of insulin. There are policies. Now, this isn't freedom. This isn't liberation. And these policies, to me, do not motivate me to join the Democratic Party or to vote or advocate that other people's vote Democrat. But just from a factual, demonstrable position, yes, they do have better policies and positions.
Right. So would you also? So it sounds like, and I like the bottom up. When people are engaged in the political theater during the presidential debate, you're saying stop using this subjective Democrats or Republicans. They both are worse or bad, when you know for a fact locally you have Democrats in your city that you probably rock with who advance public policy that has helped you way more than the Republicans in your city. So you're saying that focus should be more local. So some of these questions, I'm sorry.
No, I don't think focus should be local. I think
I say more local. I'm not saying just local.
Not more local. No, I think focus should be broad. I think that you cannot simply be local and say, well, if it serves me locally, if I'm getting favorable or responsive, if I have responsive and accountable or good bureaucratic oversight locally, therefore I'm going to overlook or rock with the genocide internationally. Why would you have to limit yourself from making local assessments or having local law? It's like when people say, well, I'm a Christian and well, God is good to me, and ignore the atrocities historically and the abuses currently. So no, I'm just saying, I'm just answering your questions as directly as possible. You asked me a specific question. I'm not advocating that we focus locally, but if someone asks me about what are the distinction between policies, I think that we should, when we're looking at politics, party politics and electoral politics, I said we too often, I didn't say we shouldn't, but we almost exclusively look from presidential down, as opposed from local, where we do engage the government up. I think we should evaluate it from that perspective as well. Not that we should stop doing one and do the other. I don't think that it should be a either or. I think we should look at it holistically.
So I think there's room to debate whether Diallo is right about, and I think as Josh has said in the chat, the Democratic Party is an effective vehicle to achieve any of those actual platform goals that they claim or are claimed to be better with their policies. But I do want to, I think we could debate that, because a lot of what you said has not actually occurred. I mean, in terms of effective.
I only spoke about things that are happening currently. I never said.
No, I know. That's what I said. Hold on.
What they're promising us. I only spoke about what's going on in the here and now.
I know. Again, as I said, I think there's room to debate that, because as Josh, I agree with what he said. I don't agree that the Democratic Party is actually a viable vehicle to bring about actual defense or projection or evolution or expansion of those policies. However, the point I really want to make in terms of what we're discussing here is that even with what Diallo is arguing, that level of analysis is not brought to the discussion that is popularly had around these elections. And the people who are defending the Democrats and Kamala Harris are not doing it even at the level of where Diallo is arguing. And they're not advocating a broad focus, a bottom-up focus, but it's strictly a top-down focus that starts almost exclusively with they're not Trump. And then it stops there. Then if you push them to the extent that they are aware, there will be some who can rattle off one or another, I think, largely obscure policy that doesn't ultimately affect that many people within the community, as important as it may be. And then we never get to the point I was getting at a minute ago, the fantasies of the good stuff. But, and so if I would almost be moved at this point if particularly these online and some of them paid defenders of the Democratic Party would engage at the level that Diallo's talking about. I would almost be moved by that, but they don't. It's just so that would be, again, I just want to distinguish those two lanes, what Diallo is saying, and that those who are arguing for Harris are not even doing all of that.
It pains me to say this, but you're right, Jared. You are correct. They aren't doing that. But that doesn't preclude us from doing it.
Okay.
So I totally agree with you, and I bump heads because when I try to give sober, code distant, and calculating analysis and advocate for code distant and calculating political engagement, I either say, people say I'm a secret Republican or I'm a secret Democrat. When I try to be a rational actor, because no revolution is coming from politics. So I don't go to politics or the electoral system to extract revolution or to secure liberation. But what is over there, what can be gleaned from over there, I think we should organize ourselves, our thinking and our collective action to secure it. But one thing I have done, moving to Chicago as an anti-Obama, I hit a lot of walls. And what I started doing is I started, like I said, acknowledging, and I'm not even going to air quote this. I'll air quote it off camera where y'all can't see. I started acknowledging the good policies of the Democrats. And when I started acknowledging the good policies of the Democrats, it allowed me to engage with, because this is a machine, political machine city. And many of the Democratic candidates run unopposed. And so as I started working on various campaigns, trying to advocate or push certain policies, just being on perpetual attack mode just wasn't really gaining me any grounds. So I started saying, yes, this is a good policy. Yes, this is a good bureaucrat or a good position. But, and then once you establish, and I'm just talking in the arena of electoral politics, once you establish that and give them that, they're more apt to come further over to say, but it could be better. Why don't they go further? And how, and you, then you can begin to raise the contradiction. At the same time, a party that can put a moratorium on the death penalty, that can have, you know, that can have school that is opposing school vouchers and trying to redirect resources to public education while denying education, and you put a moratorium on the death penalty in Illinois, and then you commit unmitigated, unrelenting atrocities overseas. You have to acknowledge both. But if you just say to an average Democrat, there's no difference between Democrat and Republicans, number one, it's not true. Number two, it's not going to help you to bring them over to green, socialist, or even independent and more selective and discerning in how they vote.
I'm just focused on this right here. This is, we just need to know.
You're
this
right here, Diallo. Hey, so do y'all think this is just all the way out there?
Domestic policy is only in theory, because y'all remember when Obama had the House and Senate, y'all got reparations. Me either.
How
but Dre is onto something.
Policy only in theory. We ain't got lead in the gasoline no more. You know, it's real.
No,
time.
We got lead in the water in Flint.
The lead is in the water, and that was policy. That's from one there. We took lead out the gas and put it in the water, and that's policy. Real things that affect their lives. You know, my son, who's a student, just got his little EBT or public card for welfare, and he's able to, you know, focus more on his studies and not go work, you know, a full-time job while he's a full-time student, and he's getting some handout government assistant welfare. And I told him, go for everything, every grant, go for everything you can get. And there are certain parties that are more receptive and responsive to that. But I would never, I know my son himself, at least I would hope, that he's not, well, like, oh, I got EBT, therefore I'm going to, you know, turn a blind eye to the democratic atrocities. So you can acknowledge it all. I don't know why we have to, like I said, they are both bad, but they are not the same. And if we identify and target those differences, we be more effective in our opposition to both of them, because we understand through the U.S. cyclical or pendular system, no matter what one party's in power and the next party will take power. And we as a community in opposition to both parties don't have a solid, consistent plan of action to say, hey, when the Republicans are in power, there, we don't have a countermeasure to PNAC. We don't have a countermeasure to neoliberalism. We those countermeasures and counteractions require that we recognize the differences and the divergence and the internal conflicts as much as we recognize and acknowledge the overlaps and the similarities.
So yeah, so last week when we was met with some of the Cuban ambassadors, that's what they said. It's like, no matter who in office, Cuba gonna do what Cuba do. They're gonna keep fighting, and they're not.
I just think it's
winging on broken promises that Biden and Harris might give. They're not expecting anything from them.
About Cuba.
So, but wait a minute, because about an hour ago, Diallo. Wait. Diallo an hour ago was saying, to disparage my attempt at nuance among the whites of the world, that they all bad and don't give the Dutch any more room.
I didn't say that.
Hold on. You did. And now we got all the room for all the nuance between the Democrats and the Republicans. I just think that's interesting.
Let me tell you, what I told you was white folks always make time for racism. That was my response. But if you said
you wanted to crush my attempt at nuance.
I never said I would never sit here and say, well, Nordic or Netherlands racism is just like the Spanish racism, or Italy's racism is just like Great Britain's racism, or Central Europe racism manifests the same way as Western Europe racism. I said they always make time for racism, which is true. Just like both parties are capitalist and imperialist, and both parties will perpetuate the international illegal sanctions against Cuba. Both parties will continue to advance the genocide and expansion of the Zionist project. But so yeah, if we were going to talk, so yes, I will say all white folks, even the white folks listening here, even the leftist white folks, so I have a special place in my heart. Bless your heart, leftist, truly leftist, not liberal, leftist, anarchist, socialist, radical vegan, hell, even the radical feminist. Bless your heart, leftist white folks, because I don't know if I'd be able to be leftist if I was born white.
Diallo.
Wait a minute. Wait. Before you go to that, because somebody, just real quick,
nothing's wrong with mushroom coffee.
Well, I was going to say,
it's not coffee.
And if it's necessary.
The fact that it ain't coffee is what's wrong with it.
You're missing. Both of you are missing the point. That's not what is meant by that comment. The comment is
the saying is bad.
Go ahead.
They're saying it's bad, right?
No, they're saying that's not what they're saying. This is not what they're saying.
I can't see that.
This Soul Life is making the point, saying that I had the new mushroom coffee this morning.
Oh,
this is a reference to my if I want to microdose my way through interacting with Diallo. That's my business. That's my business. That's not your business.
Go ahead, Tabitha. I didn't see Tabitha Brown.
Strange bedfellows.
What are you talking about? Mushroom coffee is actually good, so I don't want to argue about that right now.
There are some that are actually good, but that's not. I hope you. Some of you in the chat. Come on, we here.
Anything can make coffee, bro.
You can call it any type.
You
There's
a plant-based brother who's saying
terms.
anything can be coffee. That's like saying it's only one type of milk.
Oh my goodness.
All right, anyway, let's go to this.
Oh my goodness.
Go.
Listen,
No, answer this question, man. We ain't about to talk about coffee right now. Because I don't got that much more coffee.
The beans, those little beans.
Beans at coffee. Had a fight. Beans at coffee. All right, Diallo. Do you think they introduced the Democrats policies for the good of the people or to wash their own reputation?
I think everything the Democratic Party does is for the good of the party and to sustain the party. The Democratic Party is an institution. But so whatever they do, they're going to do in the best interest of their party. They don't do good for people. That is not why they exist. So then the caveat and the position is then you have to look and say, well, what's in the best interest of the party? And I, as an individual voter, or I, as a member of a constituency, how can I say, well, if you go this direction, it will be bad for your party? You do just like the mafia did. It's a nice party you have here. It'd be bad if something happened to it. So voters are also a faction of power that can be mobilized. So you shouldn't be a supporter. You are a constituent. And so you can make demands, you can manipulate, you can fight, you can protest, you can subvert, you can abandon and reject. Voters as a population, voters as individuals have a lot of options to engage with the party. But every party, Republican and Democrat, exists for its own means and its own purposes. The number one priority of both parties is generating revenue, just like everything else in this capitalist system. So the party's first thing in order to sustain itself is legitimacy. It's not its policies. Parties don't maintain their legitimacy or their status based on good policy, good governance, or even the vote. They maintain their legitimacy and status by the amount of revenue that the party as a group can generate and its various individual leaders and fundraising. That's one. And then everything else trickle down from that. But no, neither the Democrats or the Republican Party exists for the good of the people or are intrinsically interested or internally motivated to act on behalf of the people. They are not benevolent organizations. They are not benevolent formations.
Jared, you want to come down from your mushroom dose and answer that same question?
No, I'm good. And I don't think I don't even think I remember what the question was. What was the question?
Do you think the Democrats introduced these policies for the good of the people or to wash their reputation?
I'm definitely on the side of the washing. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm definitely on the side of the washing. That because again, to the point of that I forgot the name of the commenter before, who raised the point about when the Democrats had all the House and Senate and the presidency, there was no massive sea change of policy that we got that the Republicans were forced to work assiduously to overturn and reverse. So for the most part, I think that they do. I mean, you can shake your head all you want, Diallo, but I mean, what do we get? The bombs don't stop dropping. The police don't stop killing. The inequality in income and wealth don't go away. The healthcare doesn't.
But that's the people's job. Y'all putting shit on the government that don't
no. That's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. I never agree with that. When people, the reason people elect people to government is so that those in power who are then elected to those positions, any of them, where they're elected, where people are voting and participating, the whole point, again, we're forced into this non-democratic republic in the first place.
Yeah, it's never been democratic.
I know this is
We've been in this
if I may,
I
thought I was not interrupting you a moment ago. Am I able to? May I? So, but my point. Thank you very much. My point. My point is that the idea that is imposed through waves of propaganda well-resourced propaganda is that you must vote for someone who will then carry out the will of the people once elected. This whole thing that Obama ran when he got elected, that not only do you have to elect me, but now you have to now go out and make me do the things that you elected me to do, was part of the hustle that the Democrats run all the time. You're literally the president, my dude. Do the things you were elected to do, that you promised that people elected for you to do. And if you can't do it, then it needs to be exposed as the fraudulence of the process, or you should expose the process yourself. But you don't do that. They come back out and re-blame the people who already went out and voted for you. Why, if I voted for you, do I then have to go out and then leave my job again to go out and protest and do all this other? Why? You have been elected with the claim that you are going to do all of these things to improve society. Now you're in office, go do them. But they're always moving the goalpost, always raising the stakes and saying that the people now have to do one more thing to actually get what you're empowered to do.
Jerry, I found a new job for you and a festival you would appreciate. Can magic mushrooms be used to treat racism? You should go over there. There's some black folks in the woods on the West Coast. They're doing shrooms and microdosing.
Not all of them are on the West Coast. Some of them are right here in Maryland. There are actual people that I do know who are
healing racism with mushrooms.
They wouldn't describe it that way. They are addressing the trauma African people continue to suffer and have suffered, in part with the help of psilocybins and counseling. So there is. And now I'm not qualified to measure the efficacy of it, but there are people doing this that I take seriously, and I think are approaching it seriously. And there's apparently a lot of, I've been shown a number of, I'm not qualified. I just want to be clear that I'm not qualified to assess the research that even some of which I've seen, but there are published, peer-reviewed, published academic studies that have shown a number of them showing overall positive effect of psilocybins on the mental health of even, and in particular, those suffering the great Ma'afa, the ongoing Ma'afa. So I could only say that in an unstudied, unscientific way that I have experienced my own positive effects of somewhat guided engagement with microdosing. Now others have gone into far more, that they're macro dosing, and some of the trials and some of the engagement involves heavy doses that I admit I'm just not ready for that.
I wonder if Diallo, you and Dr. Mingo had conversations around the use of it. If y'all talked about wine, the positive use of that, have y'all talked about mushrooms and
never.
No.
Never tried it. Never utilized it. But my wife, she's a psychologist, but her arena goes around changing conditions and environments to affect the individual, as opposed to treating the individual who's been negatively impacted by the environment. You change the environment and you target the environment, and psychology is targeted towards equipping people with the ability to impact
I definitely agree with that.
Community and the society and the structures, as opposed to responding to the structures or trying to mitigate the harm for the structures, is reversing the impact or dismantling.
And I'm glad you said that. I want to be clear, just in case someone ends up misunderstanding what I am not saying we can mushroom ourselves into liberation. I don't want you to say that Dr. Ball is all hating on businesses, but he's all for the mushrooms.
For the people on shrooms, probably thought you said that anyway. Anybody having some shrooms right now?
No, shrooms bring some clarity. I think they would hear me clearly.
Shout out to Nancy Reagan. I just said no.
So, Jay, you done ayahuasca or would do ayahuasca
program? I still got my certificate in the closet somewhere from my chair certificate.
At another point in my life, I actually sought out the ayahuasca experience. I think, to be honest, I've just become, I'm embarrassingly and disappointedly, not willing to take some of the, to I'm not ready to challenge myself psychologically in that way. That's so I have resisted even the macro dosing of mushrooms, which I do actually, over the years have enjoyed here and there. But I don't. Yeah, I'm not saying it's not of value. I've only heard positive things from the ayahuasca to the macro dosing of mushrooms in certain controlled settings. You got to be a little bit careful. But so I'll put it this way, I was asked, don't you want to see your ancestors? And my response in the moment was, I don't know if I'm ready for that. And I don't know if they want to see me. So that's that's obviously some personal stuff, but that's sort of the point. Like, you do on some level would have to be ready to engage what may be some difficulties for you.
Listen, if my ancestors aren't powerful enough to manifest themselves without mind altering,
that's kind of where I'm at. I gotta admit, that was
for that. I don't think you're going to be able to give me the shit I'm asking for. So move on.
I admit that's my bias where I am with that too, but I just like to acknowledge that there are that I've heard and read a number of accounts that are just very positive about that experience. I admit I'm more where Diallo is. Like,
yeah, they haven't.
I'm Killmonger with it. Y'all should have come got me.
That's my position.
Why I got to go through all of this if you got all this power? Like,
I mean, I don't think I just don't. A lot of things I won't try and I don't try, but I just don't think any of the salespeople who tried to convince me to do it, they haven't done well to convince me, because I'm like, again, I think people who microdose cool, but I just haven't heard it sold enough that I want to experience it. And then some of the things that they say they're tapping into, I felt like I've tapped into without doing this room.
Yeah, I'm
just not sure that
I'm very careful about promoting or encourage. Like, I think a lot of it is individual. A lot of it is some of it's very specific in particular. So I think we're all out here struggling, and whatever you can find that's relatively healthy to not.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm with Quentin. Well, Quentin, for some, to be fair, I'm not doing it justice. Some have expressed they've engaged with ancestors, that they've learned from them, they've been given guidance.
Liars.
Okay, I'm not. Look,
they read a journal from the ancestors.
I'm just. But ultimately, the point is the psychological effect. So whether again, the real of it is not the psychological effect of improving their mental state is really what. But again, I'm trying to be, I'm trying to check my bias and be fair to those arguments and those experiences. Again, I've heard a lot of positives about it. And its effectiveness in treating those who have experienced trauma as well.
So remember the Invest Fest, you got to be there to understand it.
I mean, that's true too. That's the other part of it.
But what if you don't have? What if you can look at other people who've been there and be like,
no, this is again something that I think you can't assess.
That's bullshit.
I don't think you can assess the experience of a psychedelic or a psilocybin without doing it.
Bullshit.
Okay, well, okay. What can I can't.
First of all that you can assess. I worked in level 1 trauma centers, and in New York, especially in the 90s, this is when the club kids, the club scene was happening, and the raves were going on and all that shit. And I've seen people take bad trips. I've never ever tried any of those substances, not even weed. And I've seen the physiological and psychological effects, and short term, in the immediate and long term. So I think I have a grasp of of the potential harms that abuse or misuse.
No, that wasn't the question. The question wasn't potential harm. The question was assessing the experience of going through it. The other thing is, I'm not talking about, and I almost guarantee none of what you described involved mushrooms. Those bad trips and those experiences in the clubs, that had nothing. I'm almost 100% sure that I am 100% sure that had nothing to do with mushrooms. So it's a different. That's also what I'm saying. So I'm again, I have to give the film credit, but I don't like referencing film. But the film Knocked Up, I think, gives good advice when the father's sitting with the son, and he says, in terms of drug use, pills and powders avoid at all costs. If it grew in the ground, it's probably okay, relatively speaking. And mushrooms and weed are not, I think, to be toyed with per se, but they're not the same and are often not associated with those kinds of experiences and stories. So
I don't know. Weed is in the lab now, bro.
All right. Well, I'm not talking about what is created. I'm talking about what, again, the whole point was what grows in the ground. So yeah, when you're talking about the bad trips, you're often talking about LSD, the mollies, the all of that kind of stuff that I know was going on with the raves at the time. Cocaine, obviously. Yeah, that's going to be yeah. And again, what I'm talking about, my engagement, we're talking about microdose. And when you're talking about microdose, you're talking about you're at levels where even what's been attributed today while I'm laughing on the show today wouldn't be happening. Like, it's not even at that level for the most part. Mm-hmm. So all jokes aside, there's I'm for the most part, a sober soldier when it comes to public engagement. So there's no, but yeah, so microdose is almost.
You could just send me and Diallo to the Shroom Fest and we'll do research there. We ain't gonna do the drugs. We just gonna ask people about the drugs.
Well, that's my other thing. I rarely advocate engaging in like public gatherings like that. I can't imagine going to a festival and just shrooming with people there. I'd be, no. I need a controlled, more or less isolated environment. Can't be just out there like that.
So I think we pretty much
we wrapping
everything other than the Zionist joint. Did you want to tap on that before we leave?
I mean, I'll just bring it up at least quickly. I didn't dig too deeply into it, but there were just a couple things that I thought were interesting. One, I'm going to work backwards here because this is one story that I saw in Electronic Intifada earlier that has been again, just a lot of in terms of narrative and propaganda creation. But this group which spread lies about October 7th is now seeking EU funding. And this group, ZAKA, nominally emergency rescue group that won praise from Benjamin Netanyahu for they're the ones that they claim to be volunteers who go to war sites, sites of conflict and violence, and then they go through the bodies and they assess the situation and then they tell the story. And what they've just been caught at over and over and over again is lying and fabricating the stories about the atrocities of October 7th and whatnot, and none of it can be corroborated. So this one here, this is one of the main guys, Yossi Landau, and he's the one who claims to be going to these sites and collecting bodies and doing all of this. And then when anyone does any research, they see that everything he's reporting is false. They're not and in fact, this incident that he's describing where he's claiming that Hamas killed these babies and burnt them and tied them up and then tortured them and all this stuff, not only is it shown to not have happened, but the 2 deaths that they did discover at this site were caused by Israeli bombs, Israeli attacks, not Hamas. So, but this group is now expanding and seeking funding from the EU to continue to win their prop. And this is him in being asked about inaccuracies, and he's just avoiding the question and lying, and then refusing to give other interviews and other answers. So he's claiming, it's hard to tell what the age is and all that, but you just fabricated the number of dead, the way they were killed, and then who killed them. and none of that is properly challenged, and he just goes on. And of course, Netanyahu then takes, much like here in the United States, where you've seen examples, particularly that were popularized during the George Bush Jr. era, where the State Department and Dick Cheney and them will spread a false story to the New York Times, for instance, or the Washington Post, and then refer to those stories that they themselves planted back at their press conferences as if to give themselves more legitimacy. And we see the same thing happening here. Netanyahu praises this guy. They know he's concocting stories. He's sent out to concoct stories. Then he comes back with the concocted story. And then Netanyahu and all of their defenders in the Western press can regurgitate the story as if it has support from these firsthand volunteers. And this guy's out here he's weeping and whatnot at press conferences, and none of it is accurate. And it's just becomes part of the zeitgeist and the propaganda of the moment. So that was one thing. The other one was just that I'll just collapse these two into the one headline here, because this is all an offshoot, that over the summer, universities were preparing for students to return, raising these kinds of questions. And they've said, they've come up with a number of ways to resist the resistance, to negate the resistance. And one of the ways is to have New York University adopt measures declaring Zionists a protected class. So now if you criticize Zionism, which is a political policy, you will be, put on the same plane as someone, attacking groups with disabilities, sexual and people of various sexual and gender identities, people with, obviously so-called racial minorities. All of them will be put under this group of a protected class, including Zionists. So if you come back saying I'm opposed to Zionism, particularly at New York University, and I would assume it's going to spread beyond that university, you will be. And already, for instance, at my university, Morgan State, we've been told you cannot publicly challenge Morgan State policy or call out any specific group. So you can't, if you have a protest that is in the one sanctioned location, if you get your permit and permission and you go to this one spot, you can't call out Zionists, Israelis, you can't call out the relationship of the university to Israel. And now on this campus in New York, you can't even say that you have a critique of Zionism without being put in the category of hate speech and hostile, disrespect, et cetera, and so forth. So
what's that going to do for the anti-Zionist Jews on those campuses? They going they're
self-hating Jews get targeted. Not as much, but they're right behind the first wave of so self-hating Jews are not likely to find much protection in these policy from this or pre-existing or previous policy. So in fact, some may even find they get targeted more. You can't be out here using your heritage against your own people. So just wanted to get those in. So if there's nothing you all want to add to that, do you want to, any announcements, anything we want to let folks know about, anything else we want to get to before we dip out of here?
Now I think we on session 3 of Armed Struggle.
How you all finding it? I haven't been able to catch up with the study group.
Man, I mean, I think it's dense. So we've been having like conversations that are relative to what he's talking about in it, but it's a lot of reading.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot.
Sunday, we're having a live listen to Skip Coon's entire album. So it's going to be a listening party and live discussion because the album hasn't dropped yet, but there's a lot of interest. So Skip
on the Bro Diallo show.
Yeah. No.
Where's it going to be?
It's going to be Sunday. So my show is Monday night. Monday, I'm going to be talking about how everyone was tricked by idiocracy and how horrendous, right-wing, reactionary, and not woke and not insightful, the lies of the movie Idiocracy, which is trending once again because of after the RNC.
People do talk about it like it's a
horrendous movie. There's nothing
I
good
know,
about
but they talk about it like it's a revolutionary.
And so I'm going to be talking about that Monday, but Sunday we're going to have a live listen to the album in its entirety, track by track.
But where though? Is it on your channel? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah. Y'all should come through. I'll send y'all the
if
link.
I can, I will. I would absolutely like to be there for that.
Kind of undermines my effort to bootleg it before it drops.
I know.
There will be a live listen. Just check the links. Follow me at the Diallo Kenyatta. It'll all be up this evening or tomorrow morning. Probably tomorrow morning, because Saturday's. And that's another thing. I don't want nobody to think I look down on you druggies, you boofers, you sherm heads. I don't look down on y'all because I got my refined sugar and caffeine addiction. So I know I understand the plight of addiction.
Well,
so
we appreciate you. Thank you very much. Please, everybody, come through tomorrow morning. And I hope you all appreciate what I've tried to do here with this thumbnail. Come through tomorrow for Saturdays with Renee, because we need to talk about how daughters should be dust.
Shout out to Daughters of the Dust. That movie, man.
Oh my God. Let's do that. Let's do that. How Diallo hates the last Black revolutionary film.
Gullah.
Let's get into that. And then come back.
Sankofa, all the movies from everybody was trending, and I kept going to those indie movie houses like, you got to come see this. You got to see it. It's going to transform your life.
It did, didn't it?
No, it did not.
We'll come back Monday morning as we do a Labor Day special live look at the cartoons that did change your life, whether you know it or not.
I wanted to recycle one of our study group questions for y'all leave.
All right, go ahead.
So I think Horn was talking about the argument between communists and a more Black nationalist group, or maybe even with Black Panther Party, when it says socialism will arrive by free will of the majority and not from a gun-toting minority. Like, have you ever heard that argument? And then what are your thoughts about it?
Not true.
Go ahead.
It's not true.
Why not?
Because socialism, well, first of all, true communism and socialism requires a dismantling and complete subversion of the imperialist state, because we saw all the attempts to establish and enact and live under socialist governance and socialist economics comes under relentless attack from the established capitalist regimes across the world. So there's a multifaceted actions that we need to do to not only bring about socialism, but to secure, sustain socialism. So armed factions, guerrilla uprisings, subversions, politics and policies, academics, culture, re-education, devangelism. So anybody that says, well, it's got to be this and you can't do that, is more likely than trying to just sell you their own angle, as opposed to really assess what it's going to require for us to be liberated from capitalism and to establish socialism.
So the way I've thought about it is, and even in reading a little bit in Horn's book, that the dichotomy is false, because when I read the argument or hear the argument spoken to me that armed struggle is of no value and useless, and a version of this other argument is the way to go, that we will win by the free will of the majority. I hear that the claim is that I don't want to be associated with armed struggle, and therefore will take the more liberal and safer argument and solution. And that which promotes, again, the false dichotomy that one can happen without the other. First of all, I don't believe in free will. I don't believe in the concept. I don't think such a thing exists, and I'm not entirely sure that there should be. But that's a whole other discussion. But the way I collapse the argument or understand it is that the move to armed struggle would be to perform the broader change in people's will for a new world. That the purpose of armed struggle, as I've understood it, not advocating it, certainly not engaged in it, obviously, because I've qualified for TSA pre-check and global clearance, global entry, so I'm clearly not a threat, nor would I want to be seen as one, because I'm not one. But I think that armed struggle's value would be in creating the conditions where people would be forced to realize that a new world has to be made, that there has to be an engagement or desire to create new redistributive policies and all this other kind of stuff that would ultimately make the need to continue the armed struggle moot. That's the best version of it, as far as I'm. So, in other words, not that one is possible without the other, and not that one doesn't benefit the other. But when one is argued to the exclusion of the other, I think we're either into liberal or revolutionary fantasy.
Do you think DSA and those that claim that we're going to cooperative our way to socialism, do you think that's the argument they're trying to make?
I don't think that's a fair representation.
I know, but that's why I was hesitant on that. But go ahead. Why not?
No, well, here's the reality. The nature of the oppression dictates the nature of resistance. And the oppressor and the capitalist are constantly changing their tactics, strategies, priorities, timeline. So if you lock into one mode of resistance, saying I will only take up arms and hit the streets, or I will only, organize peacefully, non-resistance, then you're not trying to win. You're more interested in being right than you are in winning. So revolution by nature, radicalism by nature should be dynamic. So anybody that's selling, because I would love to sit here and say, listen, veganism, atheism, veganism and atheism and hateration will free us all, because this shit I like, with a little sprinkle of Xbox on the side. But, I'm not, listen, you get off the soy. I can tell you the many benefits of becoming a vegan, but liberation or destroying capitalism are not on that list. So you have to, if you seek to organize, even where you live. When I moved from New York to Chicago, my approach to organizing and resistance and even conclusions that I draw change. Just moving from in the same country from one region to the next. Just spending that little bit of time in Mississippi. If I was down in Mississippi with Skip, I'd have to switch it up again. So anybody that's telling you that there is a panacea, and panaceaism has plagued Black people collectively and the Black conscious community individually, is very harmful. It has plagued us for decades. It has plagued us over centuries, really. We need to let go of panaceas. They don't exist.
So which one of those people were you slightly advocating for, the DSA or the cooperative to socialism? Like you said that wasn't fair.
Well, I thought you were saying the DSA is saying we could cooperative our way to liberation.
Well, no, I think those are two separate groups that sound alike sometimes, but do you think those two groups are kind of yielding together at this quote right here, or the argument of socialism will arrive by free will of the majority and not by the gun-toting minority or gun-toting whatever? Do you feel like
socialism will arrive from sustained, radical, revolutionary, competent, evidence-based, scholar-driven resistance to the systems and institutions of capitalism and white hegemony? That's what will bring us. And that is a myriad. And you don't have to, there's nobody so revolutionary that they can't shake their ass and take a little sip. As Emma Goodman said, I wouldn't join a revolution that won't allow me to dance. So as a revolutionary, sustaining yourself and engaging in activities that help to sustain you are as valid as the revolutionary work, whether that's microdosing or enjoying the occasional oat milk latte.
Well, because the people were asking where we going to do our 100th show at, where we're gonna pop up. And just in case if we pop up in Detroit, I know Jared would have go to the cooperative and he would have saw our good sister on that mural, and he would have had this argument around not being able to cooperative yourself to socialism. So I really wanted to hear Jared answer in terms of that argument, and then how do you feel like the DSA and those from cooperative your way to, I guess not socialism, but
I love cooperatives.
I do too, but there are limitations given the current economic layout. So yeah, I just wonder if
I don't have a clear pathway to any of this, and I don't know why Poems and Justice is hating on academics. Let's not throw out all the academics.
No, I said it is driven by academics. Revolution is an intellectual endeavor. Revolution is an intellectual endeavor. It's more so than it is a military or even political, social, or cultural. Revolution is an academic endeavor at the core, and I hate to say it because, yeah, you know, academics, scholars, professors can be whack as hell, but that's the core of it. Sorry.
Hey, I forgot to ask Dr. Mingo.
Okay, yes. I'm sorry. Yes, there is you don't have to be in the formal institutions or have formal training to be. So yeah, okay, fine. Semantics matter. I agree. Whatever.
Hey, did y'all save that link for the map to see where our audience is at?
I don't have it.
We're supposed to drop it in again.
Yeah, I don't have it at my disposal. But
yeah, we should.
Yeah, where would we do our 100th show? We should think about that.
I mean, we did leave Detroit hanging. I ain't gonna lie.
Will we even get to 100? Because Trump's gonna be reelected and shut everything down. Project 2025 censorship. Because y'all keep attacking Kamala.
Well,
you're right, and it'll be our fault.
Yeah,
those are the same people that wrote.
Anybody who didn't vote for Kamala will be blamed if Trump wins.
The authors of Project 2025 is the same authors of Obama's
policies. Not the Democratic policy and platform will not be to blame for their loss and their failure.
That same think tank is moving around. That's thinking it passed around. Like, never mind.
Even who's to say we even make it? Y'all y'all very optimistic about
bro.
But just quickly, I don't think just quickly to answer your question, I do not think similar to what I think Diallo was saying about veganism, I don't think cooperativism in and of itself is going to get us to where we need to get. There has to be an associated level of politics, political organization, risk taking, uncomfortable arguments, all of these things. There has to be in a break with this mythology of lesser evil voting without critical analysis involved. I mean, all of these things have to be, and I don't know what quote unquote sort of clear path there is. But I'm not convinced by anyone's overt arguments so far. Other than again, like the Party for Socialism and Liberation, who have it as an overt goal to bring that about. I think their approach is to bring about socialism. I don't know if they have as clear.
Listen.
So
ain't nobody gonna bring socialism. Ain't coming from an elected official. I don't give a fuck what party they in.
I mean,
no, not from an elected official.
It's gonna help.
That's not really what how I'm thinking of it. I'm talking about, but I do think a party formation is necessary.
Yes.
That could promote leadership that would carry out that party's will. But you're right; it's not going to be, and we're certainly not going to
on the ballot.
I mean, I don't know.
No, I agree.
Liberation ain't on the ballot, but affordable insulin can be on the ballot depending on where you're voting. So. Y'all be looking for the wrong shit in the wrong places.
Maybe the ballot, the proper engagement with the ballot can point you to liberation, but it's not going to give you liberation.
Well, on that note, folks, you got to come back next week because what we don't just point to liberation. Here we remind you that you got to earn it. So peace if you're willing to fight for it. As Fred Hampton used to say, check the links in the show description to all the associated channels and sources and whatnot. See you tomorrow, Saturdays with Renee and all that. Make sure you have the bell rung so you don't miss whatever's coming up on the platform. I'm not always entirely sure. So make sure you have the bell rung, like, share, subscribe, support the Patreon, and we'll see you next week with more.
You got to earn your liberation.